Yeah, that was my bad. I was trying to close out another window and just close all of Skype.
Nice.
just destroyed Skype all the way. And I have mine set up to where if I close it out, it closes out everything. So I was like, well, that must have been a yo click.
Yep. I was like, oh boy, is this a sign of things to come for tonight?
Yeah. Oh man. Oh yeah. It's an episode I've eagerly been awaiting. So let's fucking kick it off.
All right.
Hello everyone, and welcome to the end of time. I'm Michael.
I'm Chris.
And I'm sure you can tell by the title of the episode, you know what we're talking about. So you know we're going to try to get into it as quickly as possible. Chris, is there any news before we roll into the weeks?
Let me, you know what? Let me scan Discord. I posted a couple things, but I don't think anything worth talking about. Oh, God, we're not even going to talk about Sonic, right?
We can talk about it for like 2 fucking minutes, okay?
All right.
I will say that I feel like I'm starting to get pushed into the bandwagon of hatred for this. I don't want to say hatred, but the severe dislike of this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Let me just say this shit for at least Michael's record, and if Chris agrees, then fuck it, it's the End of Time cast record. I don't hate many movies. There are some, but this is not one of them because I have not seen this movie yet.
Sure.
And I'm aware that 97% of the world's fucking population right now severely dislikes this trailer and this picture and all things surrounding the Sonic. So it's really hard for me to say what I'm about to say and not seem like a bandwagon jumper. I don't really care. I have seen the trailer. I watched it all the way through, and I've seen the concept art from the. I've been trying. We have been following this story since, media has been leaked about it.
Right.
Now that I have seen this shit in action, this looks bad. I realize I'm saying something that 70,000 other YouTubers and Twitter post people and fucking Facebook posters and snatch grab moneymakers are all saying the same thing. I don't care that they're saying the same thing. It's true. Chris and I both grew up with this shit. We feel we have a pretty good grasp of Sonic, what Sonic represents, and this is not it.
Mm-hmm.
If they made Sonic into a CG at most, but make it an animated movie, there's a fucking Sonic Mania mini cartoon series that is blowing this and almost every Sonic piece of media out of the water right now. And it's cartoon based, and Sonic doesn't even fucking talk. If you don't want to go animated, go CG, but make him look like fucking Sonic from the games. And for God's sake, stop with this. Stop putting these characters that are in a fictional world into the real world and have them, wacky hijinks. How are they going to react in the real? I'm so sick of fucking seeing that.
Mm.
On top of, look at Sonic. He looks horrible. Now, a couple arguments have been made. Okay, this movie's not for you. Maybe it's for kids. Okay, I could see that. This is not what kids need to know as Sonic. I'm sorry. If that's just grumpy old asshole me, then that's grumpy asshole me. But this is not Sonic. This does not look like him. This is not an accurate representation of it. And also, I forget the other thing. I'm sorry. There have been legitimate defenses out there against this movie. Mm-hmm. Like, hold on, it's not that bad. Well, sorry. This looks garbage.
Have you seen the article? And I just linked in Discord if you want to pull it up. Where someone actually went in and fixed what Sonic looks like in one of the scenes.
Yes, I saw the image. It's like a side-by-side comparison, and it looks so much better. I mean, there's expression. He looks better. Chris, man, I'm really at a loss of words for what to say to this because there's so much wrong, and I feel like the more and more people like us keep saying what's wrong, we're like, you're just hating it to hate on it. No. Chris and I have gone back a few decades, if not a couple decades, sitting in a room playing Sonic the Hedgehog, playing Sonic 3 and Knuckles. Mm-hmm. And I feel we're somewhat able to say what we feel Sonic is. This, Chris, there were details about this movie, like apparently Sonic can grab a ring and teleport somewhere, which... Okay, I guess if you loosely want to base it off the fact that if you get 50 rings, you can kind of teleport to a special stage via a ring. Sure, but that's not a main power of Sonic. There's so much, man.
Yeah.
There's this right here. It does not need to happen, and I don't know why it's happening. This is another flagpole movie for like you are taking another icon of video game history and going, hey guys, and we got a movie. Here you go. And it's fucking garbage. This is our representation in the cinematic universe, in the movie universe. And it's bad. It's just really bad.
Yeah, I think...
Go ahead.
To say something positive, the highlight of this movie for me is Jim Carrey. He's so great.
Yeah.
In anything he's done.
But the problem is, Jim Carrey is great. Mm-hmm. Dr. Robotnik, he is not. Dr. Robotnik is aloof at times, yes, but he's also that... I've always taken Dr. Robotnik as a twisting the mustache villain.
Sure.
That yeah, he goofs, but he makes robots that don't fucking work or don't do their job right. It's, oh, you robots, darn you. He's not a super quippy, ultra jokey, haha, one-liner guy. He's never been that way. So, yeah, Jim Carrey's good because Jim Carrey's almost always good. Mm-hmm. But I didn't really get the Eggman vibe from him. Except when I saw him as Eggman, I was like, okay, now you look like Eggman, but do you play like Eggman? Do you act like Eggman? We'll see. Who knows? Some Call Me Johnny, another one of the many, many channels that I follow, did a good review. It's about 20 minutes long. He just gushed pretty much just like we're doing here about the Sonic trailer, and he brought up a very good point. This is actually something, Chris, that I genuinely felt when I watched the trailer. He says, and I'm paraphrasing here, he says, Sonic in this trailer did look good. And I was like, what? He's like, but he looked good in the scenes where he was running really fast, where he was like bolting down the road and you saw that sonic boom happen. Mm-hmm. That was pretty cool. The time in the trailer where he balled up into a sonic spin ball and spun off, that looked cool. He said, but when Sonic stopped and you had to look at him, he looks horrible. And that I completely agree on. The little sparks of, okay, I can tolerate this movie was, whenever he was doing the running super fast thing. But the moment you had to look at him and listen to him and see his facial expressions and all this, just, it's so fucking bad. I saw a picture today on Facebook. I think it was a picture of a tweet. I don't know how genuine it is. Research and find out for yourselves, audience, because I can't really fact check it right now. But apparently, I don't know if it was the art director or a producer or a writer or character designer. I don't know. Somebody in this movie was tweeting out like, "Hey, I've got the message. You guys don't like the design. I'm going to rework this and make it better." If that's to be true, okay, cool. Now you're starting somewhere. But this movie, I don't know when this movie's supposed to be out, but if you're going to retool this, I'd say that's a lot of retooling. If you're looking at a character design from what we just saw in the trailer and you're completely changing Sonic to make him look more like Sonic that we know for an entire movie, that movie's going to be pushed back a while. I say push it back and don't fucking make it. How about that?
That is legit. I just looked it up. Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. That's awesome to know that somebody's listened to that legitimate criticism. However, I further the criticism. It's not just the fact that Sonic looks the way he looks. You don't need him in the real world. This goes for any movie like this. This is one of the other issues I had with Super Mario. Don't put these people in the real world. Or put them in the real world, like Mario. Mario's a special case, okay? Mario is a legit fucking Italian plumber, okay? Have him in the real world. He gets sucked down a pipe, boom. He's in the fictitious, cartoon-themed world of Mario Brothers. Sure. Sonic doesn't get that. He's just a fucking Sonic, a hedgehog that can talk and run. That can run at the speed of sound and collects rings and has a two-tailed friend. Okay, put him in a fictional, colorful, themed world. I do not need these characters interacting with fucking real human beings. There's no point in it. There's no reason for it. Because when I see that, Chris, I realize I sound like a grumpy old man. I really do. But when I saw that trailer, Chris, what I did not feel at all was our history. I didn't feel me and you sitting in our aunt and uncle's house playing Sonic and Knuckles, fucking munching on candy and drinking fucking cream sodas. I didn't get that bubbly, awesome music that Sonic's known for. I didn't get that feel of running fast and jumping over pits and all that.
Sure.
I got Sonic in some real world and acting crazy and wacky hijinks. I didn't get Sonic at all. And that should never be what a game should do for you. At least when you watch the MCU, you feel like superheroes are doing superhero things. You know, even if Iron Man's suit doesn't look exactly pixel perfect like Iron Man's suit from a comic, he still feels like Iron Man flying around doing Iron Man things. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, man, sorry. It's if nobody else in this world can talk about video game movies, it's us. And my stance is this, on many levels, is wrong. Period.
Yeah.
Any other news things, Chris?
Nah, there was just a couple silly things. Like Minecraft update caused villagers to go crazy. Kind of amusing. Nothing to talk about there.
I kind of want to know about that. It sounds funny.
So basically, the last update was a big like villager overhaul as part of it. It's one of their biggest updates they've done apparently, recently at least. But the villagers basically just kind of will take over your base. You'll find them sleeping in your bed, and there's a bunch of bugs around them. And like even if your house is locked, so you have to have like push a button or something to open the door and get in, the villagers will enter. Just they'll figure it out. So.
Huh. Interesting.
And then there's bugs, so like their heads float above their body when they're laying down. So you not only have this villager laying in your bed, but you got this creepy bug of its head floating above it.
Wow.
Not something you want to walk into your bedroom to, you know?
Interesting. Well, if we don't have a shit ton of news to talk about this week, that's good. That's real good. Gives us more time to get into the meat of today's topic. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to think, is there anything else I want to discuss or bring up? I really don't believe so. I'm also going back through the Discord. I know because I know there was a bunch of stuff posted throughout the week. But no, I think we're good. Chris, I think it's your turn to start this week.
That is correct.
Awesome, I got it right. Now if I can get 5 more this year, I win a prize.
I actually wrote it down so I could confirm.
All right, Chris, it has been a week. It has been an eventful week. And of course, I know for a fact there's one thing in particular you've done, same thing as me. But aside from that,
sure.
What's your week been like?
So, real quick, not really something in particular I watched, but a trailer I saw at the theater. The trailer for Pennyworth. The Alfred backstory type. It's a TV series, I believe it's going to be. Based on what I've seen of Gotham, if it's anything like it, that's going to be great. And that's like a month and a half or so. A month, something like that. So that would be... I'm looking forward to that. Did you see that preview?
I did not. If that was a legit preview before the movie, or was that like, the shit that they play before the previews play?
That's a good question. I don't actually know because I was there so early and it just kind of blended from one to the other.
Yeah, we were there probably about a half an hour, a little under half an hour early. And typically in our theater, there's a bunch of stuff that usually plays. Like they'll show little little adverts for TV shows and commercials and stuff like that, and then the actual movie's trailers will start playing, and in the movie.
Did you see?
Did
you see my Facebook post I made while I was at the theater? During those pre-rolls, in the corner, up popped a activate Windows icon. Whatever machine they were using to show the ad reel beforehand.
Oh no!
Wasn't an activated machine. So that popped up in the corner.
Did you have like a stroke of fear where like this shit's gonna fucking pop in the middle of the movie, gonna ruin the movie?
Nah, I wasn't overly concerned. I figured someone would pay enough attention to make sure that was good, or it wouldn't be, maybe that same machine. Maybe that's only for their, local ads before they switch over to the actual pre-roll trailer stuff.
Yeah. It's pretty funny.
Yes, I'm looking forward to that. Didn't watch anything else TV related besides our topic. On to games. So, the first thing I did after we recorded last week was I went and loaded up Return of the Obra Dinn.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, all right. Michael made some good points. He's not wrong about, hints and stuff. And I was like, okay. And I looked at a couple of things you had mentioned. I was like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Not really helpful to me at this point. Perhaps earlier in the game it would have made more of a difference, a couple of them. I was like, all right, let's figure this out.
It's hard to give you like solid pointers when I fear they're going to spoil something.
Absolutely.
I don't never want to rob somebody of those aha moments, but stuff that you've already done. Oh yeah, Yeah.
So I sat down and I was like, all right, I'm going to fill out these missing people. So I started looking, and I did find a couple of things that I'd overlooked, but I basically went, okay, I'm going to start doing the best guesses I can and, kind of work out from there what I'm missing. So I'm trying to think of the order. Because basically, I was like, all right, these three guys, their names are these. I just have to figure out which one is which. And once I got one of them, I was like, okay, the other two are either this or this. So I was able to go, okay, well, before I do pick any of those, or I was like, okay, I know which one it's not. So I probably know which one it is. So I was like, okay, let me go get a couple more guesses and good guesses and then put that in place. And if it triggers the three, then, I'm right on the two guesses. So I kind of use that as an, 1 out of 3 already knocked out type thing to take advantage of that and do some better guesses. And it took me an hour and a half to get the last, oh God, let me check my notes. What was I at? 36? Yeah, I was at 36. So from 36, so from 0 to 36 took me 8.5 hours. Okay. From 36 to 60 took me an hour and a half.
Wow. Shit just started folding in for you, huh?
Yeah, I was trying to think of a way to put it, but I was just basically doing aggressive guessing is the best way to put it.
Oh, man.
I was like, all right, I have an idea, so I'm just going to start guessing. And as I worked out, some of them were, actually figuring them out, but there were some that were pure guesses. Because I was like, all right, I have no idea what this is. But I think it's one of these. It comes down to like, well, all right, I know what his job is. That's it. I know nothing else about this person. Reviewing all their stuff, kind of like you talked about last week. I was like, okay, so this and this. So I know for a fact this is what their job is. So it got down to a couple of them, and it was very frustrating at times. But I went into focus mode, and I was like, click, click, click. I didn't leave the book for a long time at one point because I was like, all right, I've reviewed several memories now. I got this information. I need to figure it out.
Whoops. Spoiler mode for the Return of the Obra Dinn.
There was one where I talked about I couldn't tell how the guy died. I finally found the scene where how he died was displayed. It was very kind of off to the side, so you had to look. There are actually two of them that were like that. I was like, I know what one of them I was like, I absolutely know what this guy died of. I see the, murder weapon, so to speak. I know how he died. And then it's like, oh, okay, I got it. And then there was the other one. I was like, I have no idea how he died. He's just there, and then he's dead. And there's some interactions with him and another person, but none of the, drop-down choices really fit. So I'm like, all right. And yeah, that was a mess. But I did finally figure it out. I was a little disappointed in the final section that unlocks.
Yeah, that I tried to warn you and the audience as well. It's not like the biggest world payoff at all. It's more like you're going to have a bunch of questions even when you get all the answers, and they're going to wrap up a few things. You're going to go, okay, now it's more like now the full story makes sense than a no way, so.
Yeah, it's like before that you already kind of got the ending. This is just filling in a gap.
Right.
Quite literally. So I did that, and then, like I mentioned to you, I was like, what achievement are you missing? So I went back and actually looked up what that is, because it's a secret achievement. So I found one of my achievement websites to tell me what it was, and it's something that isn't part of the game. So you have to literally do specific things to unlock it, and it's silly. So you'll never get it unless you're literally just goofing around with the game, which isn't a typical response to that game,
Yeah.
And you cannot have a single guess confirmed before you do it. So it was like, okay, so I guess I'll start a new game and go through everything again. So that took me 2 hours to get the last achievement. Because I had to go through and watch every scene, and you can't skip them the first time. So I had to watch every scene again. Yeah. Couldn't guess anyone, and then had to go in and do the stuff for the achievement. So I have now 100% Return of the Obra Dinn.
Good. So now I can finally talk about more shit. I mean, we've already hashed it out. I'm not going to spend all night on this, but I fucking love this game. I really do. And I love how what really set it in for me, the reason why, as I know it's getting old and everybody's using it these days, but a reason why I compare it to the feeling that Dark Souls gave me is that just like pretty much like you, around the 30-ish mark, shit started getting fucking impossible.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I have 30 something more people to go, and I have been around this boat again and again and again. I've watched these scenes repeatedly. I've gotten frustrated, stop everything, go to this one person, watch this, listen to the narrative, watch this scene, explore this area, figure this shit. I don't fucking get it. This is exactly what happened. This is how it had to happen. This is who had to do it. I just got to figure out who the fuck they are, and back and forth, and I just got so frustrated with myself. It wasn't until I started looking at the book more closely and making more mental notes of the areas around me. For example, finding out some of the what were the shipmates called? The generic ones? Were they just seamen?
Midshipmen?
Were they,
or
no, not the midshipmen. The even lower than that.
There were seamen and topmen.
There's like seamen. Yeah, okay. There's like 40 of those fucking guys, and I found a spot at a death scene that it was either a death scene or it was still the actual boat itself, where you could find where they slept, and their bunks had numbers on the bunks, and the bunk numbers corresponded with the manifest. And I went through different scenes that was around that area. Like a death would happen all the way at the end of that bunk area, and I'd walk all the way back and look at the bunks, and some people would still be asleep in there. I'd take a note of their shoes. The one guy had a fucking tattoo on his arm, and I saw his arm sticking out with a tattoo, and I said, I just got to find you now. Once I find you, and if you're somebody that's done something I've already named, I know who you are, which means now I know that. I know who you've killed because I know your tattoo now. I found another one that had the way their clothes were draped over the side with the bunk number. So like immediately, like 4 of those became obvious. Piecing together, I think one of the big hitches for me was there's two groups of people that escaped, and the one group I got all of them correct. The other group I kept fucking up because I had them escape to an island. They didn't make it. I didn't know that until I saw another scene that showed the fucking boat they were in get exploded. I said, oh, well, fuck, no wonder I've got all of them wrong. They didn't even escape at all. There was one where I had a guy's death correct, but oh no, I had his name correct, and the scene clearly showed how he died, but I had the method of death incorrect. Just all these little things. Yeah. Like once I really sat down, slowed the fuck down, and really paid attention to minor details, slowly, piece by piece, it started coming together, and I started figuring it out.
The boat thing, that was the one where I looked up because I was like, what I was thinking was, okay, well, which island are they considering it this?
Exactly.
So I was like, okay, I need to figure out how they're looking at this mechanically, because I was getting frustrated at that point and didn't really have a whole lot to go off of. So I was like, okay, I'm going to look up this single person, see where they went. Then it was like, oh, well, there we go.
Yeah, I got really frustrated with that one because I kept finding it's like 2 or 3 different scenes that you can see them loading into the boat. Mm-hmm. And that made it understood to me that those people were getting away. There were deaths that happened around them, but obviously there's like 5 or 6 names off to the side that disappeared. They were in the disappeared section. They obviously got away. So I ran with that. And then I went, okay, now that I'm learning how to use this book better, let me flip through the events time by time. Okay, not here. Okay, not here. Okay, this is where they got onto the boat at. Perfect. Now, let me look at the map in relation to the timeline and figure out what island are they closest to. All right, let's try it. They obviously all went to this island. No. Okay. They all escaped. They all went to this island. Oh, no. Okay. They made it to Africa, I guess? Nope. All right, well, they escaped, but I can't figure out where the fuck they escaped to. And I mean, just mind you, I wasn't always focused on one person at a time. It was almost like I was going scene to scene and trying to figure out individual scenes at a time. Sure. And I was looking at someone else's death. The first mate took me fucking forever to figure out who he was. Some of those people, when their symbols show like 3 or 4 marks, meaning they are difficult to figure out, most of those were fucking legitimate. Because I was looking, I believe it was the first mate who I was looking at, and just happened to look over and saw the boat. And I said, oh, they didn't fucking escape. They got into the escape boat. They were going to escape. They didn't fucking make it. And then I saw what happened to them. I was like, oh, okay. And once I got one, apparently I had 2 other things right and got that first one. He clicked in, so then I went, okay, you die because of this, you die, and then it just like 3 more happened.
Yeah.
Man, I can't even tell you. Like, there's so many little things and little times where I just slowly started finding little bitty clues and figuring everything out, and that was the payoff for me. Whenever I finished the game and got the last chapter back, it was more of a, okay, it's now I get why all this shit happened and why these, I had some bows tied up here and there, but as far as like oh wow, it didn't happen. My oh wow was just the game itself.
Yeah, the mates didn't really give me a problem. Is their stewards that I had a problem with, aside from like 2 of them, because there are, I think, like 6 stewards or 5 stewards, and 2 of them were fine. But the other 3, I'm like, all right, I know they're stewards. I can tell that just by what they're wearing, Right. But who is who? I'm like, they're clearly talking to one in the scene, and then there's one that you can't fill out. So it's like, well, I can't confirm that. So I just have to assume I know right on this one and just wait. So that was, there were a lot of them, and I did miss the numbers on the bunks. That is a very interesting thing to note.
Yeah.
Because I got to the point where I was like, all right, I have like 4 top men left. So let me cycle through their names.
Yeah.
And okay, 1 triggered. All right, so I'm down to 3. Let me, keep it up and try to do semen at the same time, because I got down to like 6 of them, I think, before I started really having trouble with them. Because like all they are doing is, stuff on the deck. Nobody does anything. Nobody says anything. It's just kind of like, okay, sure. The guy with the tattoo, I'm glad you mentioned that, because I had no idea why he was a 1 star. I was like, why is this guy 1 star? You literally see him like once or twice, really. But, well, you see him once before he's 1 star. His face blurs. So it's like, okay. And that's kind of one of the approaches I took. Because I remembered, distinctly the first few that unlocked. So I was like, okay, this guy unlocked after like 2 scenes. What am I missing that should have given me, his name? And I never figured that out.
Yeah.
I literally guessed his, just kind of being silly. I was like, all right, let's just give him this name. And it's like, boom, right. I was like, what?
Yeah.
It wasn't even a serious guess.
There's other ones where like there's a damn near 5 or 6 panel death scene that's happening like on the 2nd level of the ship, where one guy kills another guy, and then that guy kills another guy, that guy kills another guy, that guy kills another guy, and I kept going, man. I spent too long going back and forth on all these people, and the whole problem was I had the fucking first mate wrong the whole time. I had him mislabeled. That wasn't the first mate at all. And there were a couple lynch key people that, like, once I actually got them figured out, a lot of other things worked out just fine. There was one down toward the bottom where it's the captain steward, I think, something like that. And the captain, there's a scene where like apparently this guy went crazy and like killed somebody, cut his leg off. And he was like, "You've been my steward for 10 years, and you pull this shit." And I kept getting him wrong somehow. I still kept getting him wrong because I just had shit wrong. It's oh man.
Yeah, I had the name in that scene assigned wrong for like most of my time. I was like, okay, well, this is this person. And then I went back when I was nearing that last like 10, and I was like, okay, this one is wrong. I just confirmed because I just got a pair of 3, so I have this one. I know this is wrong. All right, well, this death is absolutely right. That's something that's visibly seen. It's not one of those, being sneaky and hiding the true cause of death or something. I know how this person died. Okay.
Yeah.
What am I doing wrong with this name? And I went back and looked at the scene. I was like, oh, he's talking to someone else.
And the racial slur one I brought up last time we talked about this, I still can't believe I was such a dumbass for not getting that. There's a scene where a guy calls a guy, says, whatever, you Dane. And I was like, that means something. I just don't know what the fuck that word means. And I looked it up. What, slur or slang, Dane, and it was like a racial slur for a Danish person. And I went, wow.
Is that actually a slur?
Yeah.
I thought it was just an abbreviation. Huh.
It might be that too, but I took it as a slur because of the way that the context that he used it. He was talking like an asshole to him. He was like, whatever, you Dane, or whatever. So, yeah, maybe it wasn't a racial slur. I just took it that way. But when I saw that 1-to-1, I went, I am stupid. And I went to the list, and I was like, you are this one. And ta-da, you're right. So, yeah. We've talked a lot about this game, and I know I have probably more than you, but I went from okay, this is interesting, to I'm genuinely surprised, to I am fucking hooked. And I have rocketed past this game, and am really, really hoping that other companies, other genres, other licenses, period, pick this up. I'm down for this. I'm way more down for this than I thought I was. So yeah, I hope more.
I had a bit of a different, emotional experience with that. I had more of a roller coaster. I was like, first is like, oh my god, my eyes. And I didn't get over that throughout the entire game. So that was just something I was having to live with, and it made the game less enjoyable for me. But then it was like, okay, this is interesting. And then by the end of it, I was just hate guessing, you know. You could think of what I'm actually saying. Yeah. I was like, all right, I'm guessing you are this person, whether you like it or not, take it, you know. And, it was frustrating. But I do like the premise. I don't know, maybe I would have enjoyed it more and been more willing to slow down if the graphics were better. And better in the sense of using anything other than the style. Better.
Yeah. I haven't followed up on the producer or the creator. I haven't followed up on any other licenses or anything like that. I'm gonna quietly wait, and I think both. I don't know if they would ever do a sequel to this specifically. I think a sequel could be done. You could always have another ship with another set of circumstances. Mm-hmm. But whether it's a sequel or maybe if I hear of another game title out there and they're like, if you're a fan of the Return of Obra Dinn, now I'm in. So, yeah. And again, it really sucks because I am that guy that there are many games that I have played multiple times, other than just seeing how fast I could do it or just seeing if I remember shit or whatever. There's I already know everything. Going back would be like, well, that's this guy, that's that guy, this is that girl, she died from this, he died from that, he killed him, he killed her. I don't know. I think it's like a one-time thing for me. Yeah. So I'm hoping for more. I'm hoping for more in the future.
All right. So the only oh, wait, actually not the only game. So, and man, I've been terrible with my notes the last couple weeks. So Monday was Mario Monday. I did not go back to Baby Kaiser World because, as I mentioned last week, you know, screw shell jumps. I just wasn't feeling up to it. I was like, you know what? I enjoyed what I was doing in Grand Prix World 2. Let me just keep going. And it paid off. You know, I spent, I don't even know how long I played. It was maybe 3 hours-ish, something like that. I'll have to actually pull it up while I'm talking. But I made it I had mentioned, let's see, last week it was like a jump and a half technically I made. And then within like 15 minutes of playing, or maybe 30 minutes, I think, of playing on Monday, I surpassed that. So I was like, okay, I've now accomplished something. And then I immediately died, of course. So I was like, okay. It took me another hour to repeat that.
Jesus.
So it was a very kind of, it was rough. Because I knew what I needed to do, but there was just the execution. I played for 2 hours, so not that long overall. But it was just getting that execution where I was like, okay, I need to not panic when I actually get to this point, because that's what would happen. It's like, okay, it's been so long focused on one jump that when it actually works, it's like, the brain just shuts down and it's like, oh, I made it. Right, I'm not pushing it buttons anymore, so I'm dead. I didn't make it past that. So it's very much a one jump at a time type thing. And it took me another 25 minutes to do it again. And then when I did it again, I made it one jump further. So bit by bit, I've made progress.
As much as close to that word as you can use it.
I mean, it's progress. Yeah, it's literal progress. So I played 2 hours, and that brought me up to a total of, let's see, I'm waiting on Live Split to open, 7.5 hours in the game. And I've almost made it to the first checkpoint. I say almost. I think I'm, I don't even know if I'm 3/4 of the way to the checkpoint yet. I would have to actually watch someone play the level again to kind of get a real guess. but I'll still just stick to half. I'm pretty sure I'm closer
Yeah.
to half than 3/4 anyway, unless I'm remembering the level wrong. But it's fun. It's one of those where the design and music, I've talked about the music tons before. I can sit there and the music never gets old. 7.5 hours of this music while I'm playing, and that's not even the time I've watched people play, this game. And it's still good. So,
That's good.
I don't know if I'll continue it on Monday or not. I haven't really decided. It's one of those things where I'll kind of forget that it's Monday and be like, oh, what am I going to play today? And I'm like, oh, right, Mario Monday. Sure, I guess I'll play this.
Yeah.
There are a couple other games, Mario ROM hacks that I may try. A couple of them are not Kaizo games, so they're still fairly challenging, but I don't think one of them has a single shell jump in it. So it's not like that tier of play is required, but you still have to have, some precise jumping and whatnot. It's a good middle ground as well, for someone that isn't as experienced with the genre or play style.
Yeah.
So after that, and kind of between Oberdin and Mario Monday, I was like, all right, I want to go ahead and not get through because I'm enjoying, but I wanted to continue the Lunar 2 comparison, where I'm comparing the Lunar Eternal Blue Sega CD game to the Lunar 2 Eternal Blue Complete PlayStation remake of the game. I'm playing through them at the same time on the same screen. It's not literally at the same time usually. I'll pause one because having inputs going to two games is annoying at times. And I want to be able to focus on what's happening in one at a time. So it's easier for comparison, watching a cutscene on one at a time. So that type of thing. I am pretty close to beating the game. I'll probably finish it off this weekend, I think. It is I'm about to sneeze. It is it's still fun, and it's interesting to see the changes in this game because I remember nothing about the remake for Eternal Blue, and I remember almost nothing about Eternal Blue on Sega CD. A lot of my focus was on Silver Star, the first Lunar game. So a lot of this is semi-fresh. I'll see several parts where I'm like, I don't remember this at all. And then I'll be like, wait, this is vaguely familiar. So it's been so long. I mean, it's been over 20 years probably since I played Eternal Blue.
Yep.
So the difficulty is still such that the remakes, I think, are harder than their base games. Though Eternal Blue for Sega CD does have a higher difficulty than Lunar 1 did, I still think its remake is harder. But I do think that the Eternal Blue remake is a lot better than the first remake as well, because I mentioned this last week some. There wasn't as big of a difference, because the Lunar 1 remake was made based on systems that Lunar 2 Pro Sega CD used, Lunar Eternal Blue used. So when you go from the Lunar Sega CD, Lunar 1 Sega CD system to the Lunar 2 system for Lunar 1, that's a very jarring change. It's like the spells are not the same, none of this is the same. I don't like this, basically.
Yeah.
Too much of a change. But going from Lunar 2, which those changes were based on, to its remake, it's like, okay, this is simpler. It makes more sense to kind of tweak it, if you will. One of the interesting things that they did was in Lunar Eternal Blue, there was a magic experience system. So on top of leveling, you could put your points into leveling up magic spells for individual characters, depending on, what you wanted to use or maybe what part of the game you were in. Because like the main character hero, his boomerang, it's worthless after a certain point. So you might upgrade it a couple times early in the game and then never touch it again because it just doesn't have a purpose. It's not as good as his, normal sword abilities type things. Then in the remake, that system is completely gone. You just gain spells and upgrade spells as you level. And I found myself really disliking the lack of the magic experience system because spells, as a consequence, didn't do the same thing. Or even if they did the same thing, they cost a lot more MP. So they weren't as MP efficient as the old spells, so a strategy in a fight would be entirely different. For example, Ronfar, he's, the main healer. His base heal in both games is 4 MP. Very cheap. You're healing one person. Totally cool. The heal everyone spell, however, in Lunar 1 Lunar 2, or Lunar Eternal Blue for Sega CD is 7 MP. So even if you're only healing 2 people, that's more efficient than casting heal, the single target heal in both of them. So that's good MP efficiency. In the Lunar 2 remake on PlayStation, that same spell costs 12 MP. So you need you basically have to have 3 or more people to heal before it's worth casting that. As far as, the cost goes. But in combat, people are going to be taking damage. And, it rarely is worth it, even with the way characters take damage in combat. So you're almost always casting at an inefficient value. And then later on, as I mentioned, spells upgrade as you level. I leveled, so now that same spell, which heals a ton more health, of course, because it's upgraded, now costs 24 MP. And based on how much mana Ronfar has, I think it's like, at this point, I can cast it 5 or 6 times, and then he's out. So it's like, well, you didn't really scale this properly. And another spell I was using as an alternative, it functioned completely different in Sega CD. Sega CD, he has a spell, still talking about the healer because he's one of the main issues with this because he's so important. But he has a spell where you target an enemy and then it damages the enemy first, and then based on that value, distributes it evenly amongst the party. So, say you take 100, then everybody gets 20 if you have 5 people in your party. And you get that 20 is a flat rate. Doesn't matter how much they're missing or have. It doesn't adjust, based on what's left over. There's no overflow consideration. So everybody just gets a flat 20, whether they need it or not.
Right.
And that's how it works. So it's basically, a group heal. It's not very strong, but it was only 10 MP. So very cheap, right? In comparison to the group heal. So if I needed just that little bit of a touch and I still wanted to damage the enemy as a nice in between the 2 spells. Since I was the Sega CD I'm talking about, it was 7 for that. So then 10 to do damage and then that little bit of a heal. In PlayStation, the spell targeted an enemy and then only gave Ronfar that health. So it was no longer a group heal, so it kind of became almost worthless. Because I could single target heal for 4 MP, heal himself. Or I could spend 10 MP, which is the same cost as the spell on PlayStation as well. They didn't change that one actually. But I could use that same 10 MP to do a different ability. And it's a little riskier because his whole gamble mechanic. But I could do double damage for the same amount of MP to the enemy. I just wouldn't gain health. Or I might take some damage depending on the roll. But it was odd. And then I just did some grinding because I'm at one of the most difficult bosses in the game, and it upgraded that ability for him. So now he is, now it will cast on everybody or all enemies, or no, it'll, God, I'm getting confused now. But basically it heals the entire group now, but it costs 30 MP. So I'm like, okay, this is nice that it finally, will heal everyone, and it heals them for a lot. But now it's super expensive.
Yeah.
It is, it's all enemies. So that's what makes it so powerful. So instead of just stealing from one enemy, like 100 health, and then dividing it at 20 each, it steals from everything. So stealing 100 from, 6 enemies, that's a 600 health pool to pull from. So everybody's gaining at least 100 in a party of 5. So really useful. But again, costs 30 MP. And now that healing everyone costs 24, so it's like, well, 6 more MP to damage all enemies. It's very situational at that point. Kind of mainly useful on bosses, but still, he has 200 MP right now in my game. That's 6 casts of that, really of either. So it's like, okay, well, it's neither one of these is really great when it comes to MP efficiency, and that's kind of been the big story for the remakes. Their MP efficiency is terrible. I think Lunar 2 is Lunar 2 remake is a little better than Lunar 1 remake when it comes to efficiency. It wasn't quite as bad, but it was very bad still. I'm not seeing really these same issues in the Sega CD versions. So they're, minor changes. And like I said, the Lunar 2 remake is definitely better than the first remake, but still mechanically too different, I think, when it comes down to it. I actually had someone pop into my Twitch stream, and apparently their favorite game is the Lunar 1 remake, and they've never played the Sega CD version. So when they said that, I was like, well, that's unfortunate because it's a terrible game. They
Chris, the destroyer of childhoods, the shatterer of dreams.
Yeah, I was like, you need to go play Sega CD. It's a big difference. Yeah. So that's been my primary gameplay this week. Like I said, I think I'll finish it this weekend. I'm really looking forward to it because I'm almost to the end, and it's been so much fun. I don't know what I'm going to do after this. I got to the point where I'm like, all right, well, what else can I do like this? What other games can I play with their remakes? I'm like, I don't think there's any that are worth doing,
Yeah.
Maybe like a Final Fantasy 3 or 4 type thing, but I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I guess on to my week then.
Yep.
I have no other movies than the obvious, no other TV shows, obviously. Games. I'll talk briefly about an off when I've been playing one of my in-between games. And what spawned me to play this is that I was at a game store, one of my local game stores, and I saw this game. If I'm not mistaken, I could have swore I saw this game advertised or on the shelves for the Switch. And I was like, wow, you know what? And I was just really taken aback. I was like, all these games that I feel like I've seen on Steam and these, indie titles they're just all being pushed to the Switch. I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
It's another platform for people to play these games on and on the go, as a good Steam game is. A lot of these Steam games are just great for portable / pick up, put down, real quick session type games. And the game is called Abelos, Abbelos. So I saw this, and while I was, the one side of my brain was commenting on the fact that so many these indie games are getting brought to Nintendo Switch. The other one was just kind of dismissing the game because it's like, oh yeah, well, I've already got that game on Steam, and I think that's one of the ones that I tried, and it was like, okay, it's whatever. So I got home, and a couple days later, on a random try, I found it on my Steam list and opened it up and said, oh, no, I have not played this game at all. So sure, let's see what this is about. The artwork got me immediately. It's sprite-based with some really good cartoony effect style graphics. And it's basically a platforming, slash 'em up a bit. It's got Metroidvania stuff in it. Go figure, it's right up my alley. And it's got, you can upgrade your weapons, you can upgrade your armor. You're going here and there trying to find items to let you progress and keys to let you progress. You're going through dungeons and a lot of platforming, a little bit of puzzle solving, and it's just a good old throwback to that style game again. If you don't want the Steam version, if you have a Switch, they do have it for the Switch, but yeah, that's the version I got. It's not a super difficult game at all, especially with all the upgrades that they get that come your way. There is even the Steam page on my Steam app, the picture for Abelos says hard mode now available. So, if you think the standard mode is too easy, you can always bump up the difficulty. It's been just fine for me. Again, as I've touted many times, I don't profess to be the world's greatest at beating difficult games. And when I do, I know where to go. So this game's been fine so far. I think there was a YouTube channel or so. Oh yeah, something I did watch recently, because I'm always promoting the Easy Allies. The Easy Allies Hall of Greats induction number 9 was released a couple days ago as of this recording. I have watched it. It's another good one. So that makes 9 so far. That's 18 total games they have in their Hall of Greats. For those that don't know, please go check the video out. They'll explain the whole Hall of Greats to you when you watch the video. But the general idea is, unlike me, who only has a top 15 of all time video game list, they're trying to make basically a haul, just a many video games that they believe are basically, as the title says, and they belong in the Hall of Greats. And there's a lot of good ones in there. They debate and discuss back and forth why a game. They present a game. Someone will present a game, and they present a case of why they believe it should be in their Hall of Greats. And then everybody else will get to discuss negative points or basically tell them why maybe it doesn't belong. And then everybody gets to vote, and then 2 games are picked. So this is their 9th one, and they do this around about every 3 or 4 months. I've enjoyed every single one of these from the first. The rules have kind of come and go, have changed over time, true enough, but the spirit is still there, and it's a good watch. So I saw that when it got released and then watched it immediately.
Real quick, while you're thinking, there was something that we didn't talk about news-wise. There is a Steam sale thing going on. That end already? The Golden Week sale ends on the 6th, so it's almost over, actually. So,
yep.
I guess not
I saw
super
that.
Worth talking about, but it is a thing going on.
But I did pick up a few games, kind of strapped for money at the moment, so I only picked up a few little cheap ones. It's going to be funny whenever I do have money. I'm just going to get my list bought and be done with it. But yeah, I definitely picked up a couple, and I'll get to them eventually. They just got added to the list. One in particular was God Eater 2, which I was sold on God Eater 3 by either Easy Allies or Giant Bomb or Castle Super Beast guys. One of those 3, I forget. And I've heard that God Eater 2 is just as good, so we'll see. I think it's akin to Monster Hunter style gameplay. I have not played it at all. I was gonna watch a quick look the other day, and I never got around to it. So that's one of the quote unquote bigger ones that I played. I am still working on Danganronpa. It's I'm understandably, Sekiro kind of came in and slashed through that game. So I'm still aware of where I am in Danganronpa. I have not lost that mental place. I know I'm about to get into another trial, so that's fine. I can pick that back up whenever I'm done with Sekiro, which Sekiro is what I'm working on now. And believe it or not, this is not going to be a very long week, especially for Sekiro for me. I am for lack of a better phrase, kind of making fairly good progress through this game. I feel like I really did get bogged down at the beginning. I mean, my whole entire review of this game has flipped upside down since now that I've actually been able to make fucking progress. And I know that sounds so bad to say because that's not the spirit of what Dark Souls is. And as a gamer, that should never be what it is. Like, oh, you just like it now because you're actually winning. Kinda, sorta, it's true because I was like getting walled on something and I didn't know what the fuck I was doing wrong. And then when I figured it out, it was like, yeah, it's the shit you should already know how to do this. This should already have been in your bag of tricks. So in any event, whatever the case was, I'm now going through it. I have died to every boss at least 4 or 5 times, like standard, but I'm doing the typical thing. I'm backing away. I'm watching patterns. I'm now trying to perfectly execute my blocks and my parries and my deflections and all that stuff. I'm acquiring new abilities and trying to use them appropriately, trying to figure out what abilities work on not only what bosses, but what moves that they do that I can use those abilities against, stuff like that. I have been through a couple bosses that have had multiple phases. Particularly, there was like a main story boss that had a second phase, and that was believe it or not, I beat him on my first try. And I don't think that's the first time in this game that's happened, but that was nerve-wracking because the first phase took me probably a good 10 to 15 minutes because, again, like every other boss, I was trying to figure out his patterns and everything. And then I only had, I think, 5 or 6 gourds, and I was down to 1, and then the phase shifted, and I said, "Oh fuck!" But then I kept. So if I'm using random numbers here, the first phase took me about 15 minutes. The second phase I drug out for what felt like half an hour. I kept running and backing away and watching moves and getting in close when I knew I had to get in close. And over time, my health kept depleting. I skipped the gourds and did a couple seeds. My seeds ran out, so I skipped over back to the gourd, used my last gourd, just getting little jabs here and there, but backing away in total fear and just back and forth. There's no doubt in my mind that one more hit and I would have died, and I got the last stroke in.
Yeah.
And yeah, that stuff like that is very fun. I'll give you that.
Yeah, I certainly know how that is. Something I completely forgot about on when I was playing Lunar last night. I mentioned I'm on, one of the hardest bosses in Lunar 2, and I was playing it on Sega CD, and I got down to where the boss wiped everybody but my main magic user, and she has no healing capabilities. So all my healing was the few items she had equipped in her inventory to use. So I was like, all right, well, it's time to reset, but I'll let this play out just to, see how fast she dies, kind of get a feel for damage and all that stuff on her in particular. So I use all my healing items up and, do offensive magic as I can. And then I have use my last item. I'm like, all right, well, she's dead. And then she gets hit. She has a few health left. Cast one more spell. It kills the boss. I was literally one turn from death. Didn't expect to win. I didn't think the boss was that low. And then the little bit of damage that she was doing was enough to kill him. That was such a great feeling.
Awesome. Yeah. So, yeah, I'm enjoying Sekiro. Again, I've got to wait till I finish this game before I decide where I want to put it. I've heard many people, look, spoiler warning for the Hall of Greats number 9, somebody put Sekiro in. Not only did they put Sekiro in, they were talking about how they obviously prefer this game over Dark Souls 1, and that was their favorite. I can't make that call right now. if I did, there's no telling if it's going to change later. So I really don't want to say where I put it at right now.
Sure.
All you need to know right now is that this is a From Software game, and it lives up to that legacy. I am enjoying it. Excuse me, despite the changes that it has made, despite the direction the game has gone, the stuff that you need for this game to be a From Software game is definitely there, and the combat's I'm enjoying it. There, point of fact, when I got to an area where basically you fight enemies that don't have any weapons, they're essentially monks, and a couple of them you can handle pretty easily. Some of them go, nah, we've got skills just like you do, and we will fuck you up, and they do. But just like any other enemy, you will learn the patterns, you will figure out when to do what to do, and you should be able to triumph. I don't know where I am progress-wise through this game. I have so many Buddhas open and unlocked. I have so many areas open. I've beaten so many bosses, and what I feel like I've cleared basically large areas. I will also tell you this, for anybody that's hesitant with this game, even to this day, as you can go back and listen to early episodes where I talked about the struggle of mine with this game, both physically, the game itself not working, and the actual gameplay. Once you get past the first couple bosses, once you start gaining powers, and again, whether you think this is to its detriment or not is up to you. I think you can make the argument that if you don't want to use them, you don't even have to use them, but I use every one of them. I want every fucking advantage this game gives to me. The game does start giving you power-ups fairly regularly. You're going to be able to increase your health. I've already done it a couple times. You're going to be able to add more gourds than just the one that you start with. I've got close to 6 now, or if not 7. You're going to be able to increase your attack power over and over and over again. I think I'm on like attack power 4 or 5 by now. I forget which. And you can definitely see the changes. Now, let me make this clear though. An example. I fought the ogre, which is a very early boss, multiple times. We're talking, I died to this guy well over 40, 50 times. And again, I refer you to the earlier episodes where I talked about why I was dying. But I had the initial patterns down for the ogre so to memory. I could tell you I'm going to run in and get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 back off, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 back off, and I knew exactly where his health was going to be. I could tell basically how much damage my slashes were doing. When I got the first power-up that increased my attack ability, I went back to fight him after that, I could see the difference. Now, am I talking about I went from taking 1, 2, 3 points of damage to 16, 48, 122 points? No, it wasn't that noticeable, but it was noticeable. And the more increases you get to these things, the more you are going to see a difference. If I was to not use these items and be where I am in the game right now, could I beat these enemies and mid-bosses? Yes, I could. It would just take much longer. It would be more blocking, more dodging, more evading, more blocking, more deflecting, as opposed to I feel like the power scale works for you. It gives you that small sense of, okay, you're going to be able to do this a little easier now. Mm-hmm. Not, we want you to wipe the floor, but not, okay, it's one enemy. We don't want you to sit here for 8 minutes. You know, it's just, I can feel myself getting more powerful, not only with the physical attributes that my character is getting, but also the abilities that you gain as well. You're going to use a lot of them quite often. So I'm glad that I have gotten the game down properly. I'm glad that I have picked up on what the game was throwing down. It sucks that it took so long, but I'm doing it and I'm making my way through. The bigger question for me as I progress through this game is, what am I really going to do once I finish? There is a shit ton of games on Steam I still have that I need to either start or try to work on. I've tipped up this idea a few times in my mind, Chris, and I don't even know how I'm going to do it, but I really feel like this might be just a solid backlog year for me. You know, this feels like, again, looking out in at the horizon of games coming out this year, almost like movies coming out this year, I don't know what else is there for me. There's nothing out there that I really see that I want to pre-order or have or want so bad that I know I'm going to get it on or very soon to release date. So maybe this is a good year for me to go back and look at, PlayStation or an N64 or NES or Genesis or whatever, and go back and find some of those games that I know I wanted to play and never got around to. What do you think?
Yeah, that's one of those things, and that kind of reminded me of I've been looking at Days Gone since they released the E3 trailer. It's just released last week, I think, something like that. But I didn't talk about it because I didn't play it, and I saw something that kind of put me off of it. It was like Days Gone is the most average game. It's like it's a solid 7 out of 10, but it's completely average in any way. And that I was like, that doesn't sound like fun. It doesn't sound like something I want to put a bunch of time into. But then I was watching Dropped Frames, the Twitch show that It Me JP hosts with Ezekiel the Third and Co Carnage, and they Co and JP have played. Actually, all three of them have played, and JP was the one that said it was a 7 out of 10, very average game, and he actually stopped playing it because of that. But apparently, about 20 hours in, it really starts to pick up. So they apparently screwed up the beginning. And then, he stopped before that mark. So he didn't see this ramp up. And I don't know if he's going to go back and play it. But after hearing them talk about it, I might look at it some more. I haven't watched anything just in case I decided to play it. I might wait until next week's Dropped Frames and see if, what their final conclusions on it is, to kind of decide if I want to play it or not. But I don't know what's coming up that I'm really looking forward to either. I'd have to actually check the list. But I'm kind of reclined at the moment, so it can wait.
You need to be relaxed for the topic today.
Yeah. I was sitting back getting ready for a long discussion.
Yeah, so and I have no plans. I really don't. Man, I'm sure I can go back through all of my generation's libraries and just start randomly picking out games. And I think there's two big challenges for me if I go through a backlog. One is actually buckling down and going, okay, even if I'm kind of sort of interested in this, play it. Play it, give it a chance. If I like it, I'll get into it. If I don't, well, give it, fucking 20, 30 minutes, an hour, whatever. And then if you don't like it, go away. Yeah. But I know there are plenty of titles that either people have recommended or I know got, good traction or whatever. And I've looked at it and went, it's meh. So I need to give the mez a try. We're not talking about, okay, just play everything. And even when I know it's garbage, go for it for the lulls. No, if I'm doing a backlog, it's shit that I need to play.
Yeah. There are RPGs I need to go back and play.
Exactly. I was just talking to Adam today about going back through, and I don't need to do this because we're talking another 150, 200 hours worth of time. And I was like, man, I wasn't thinking about going back into Witcher 3 again because, God, Witcher 3 was so good. But if I really want to get some Witcher 3, I don't have to go that far. I really have I have the other DLC, the Blood and Wine, I believe is what it's called. That's an entire DLC that apparently, from what I hear, I've heard a lot of people say, not only is it just as good as Heart of Stone, it's even better. And I was like, yeah, they don't put out mediocre quality shit for Witcher 3. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. So if I really want to play some more Witcher 3, it's a matter of, do I want to play the whole game over again, which would be great, or do I just want to jump in, do the DLC, and leave? So that's one of thousands of ideas. But the other big challenge for me, as far as a backlog is concerned, Chris, have you ever went to any of these backlog websites like the Backloggery or any of those?
No, never even heard of them.
Okay. Well, and I'm going to say that there are many, but I do know of one, and I do believe it is called the Backloggery. It's a website that, as you would imagine, you go through and you can create a backlog. The problem is, and this was a year ago, maybe 2 years ago, that I looked into this and immediately gave up. I think creating the backlog is super tedious. If I remember correctly, when I started this, I figured it was going to be something like, we're going to pull up all 700, you just click on Nintendo, and we're going to pull up all 790 something games for the Nintendo, and you just click, played it, not played it, need to play it, add to the log, whatever. And I think the interface was more like, no, you have to type in the game name, find the game, and then add or check mark details game by game by game. And no, I am not Gerard the Completionist. I am not a Classic Gaming Room. I've played maybe 2,000 games in my life. Those guys have played like 50,000. I'm nowhere near their league. But mentally trying to tell myself I need to go game by game and put, I have played it or I want to play it. That sounds fucking tedious. I gave up on that venture really quick. So I may do some research and see if there are other backlog type websites out there and give those a go. If the interface is easier for me to use, I may try that out.
Maybe I should build something like that.
Maybe.
Sounds like a fun little project.
I've heard of another idea that I've heard about is people doing like the 100 game challenge or something like that. Like you try to play 100 specific video games in a year, something like that. It's something else to look into. I have a lot of games on my shelf. I have plenty of games in my Steam library. There's no doubt in my mind there are plenty of ways for me to just go pick out stuff at random. But I would really like to make a good, genuine, giant composite list for anybody to be able to go on to themselves and be like, oh, look, here's all the games he's played. Here's games that he 100%ed. Fun fact, Chris, I actually have a notebook that I started doing this in about a decade and a half ago. And I had it just like that. When I started playing a game, I would write that game in the book. When I beat it, I would put that I beat it. And if I went back and did everything possible or 100%ed it, I would make another mark. But the problem is I just got too lazy with it. I just stopped putting names in it. And even when I made that, I made it all by memory. And I only had like 300-400 games in it total. And that was a long time ago. So I'd like to do that again, especially for the backlog mindset, of wanting to go back and put games that, I want to put a tick by this because I'm remotely interested. And that's enough for me to want to go play it. Because if you're talking about console to console and including PC, oh my God. We joke about our backlogs, but I'm telling you, if you really sat down and plotted out a backlog, I don't know if I have enough time. Even if I retired, I don't know if I have enough time.
Yeah.
So, just something I've been kicking around in my head. As far as my week goes, that's pretty much it. A lot of Sekiro, and a lot of playing a Bellows in between, just as like a breather. And to what our topic is for this episode.
All right.
Which is, it's fucking time. Let's do it, Chris. I have been awaiting this all week after seeing it. So this topic for this week's episode is going to be much like a God of War episode that we've done in the past. We're just going to be gushing, talking about, discussing Avengers Endgame. Chris has seen it. I have seen it.
Yeah.
And it would be genuinely difficult to talk about this thing without spoilers. So we will throw out our quick spoiler-free recommendation, and then we're going to make a spoiler alert, and then we're going to get right into it. I will tell you now that I have been waiting for this movie ever since Infinity War ended. I have... It's been in my mind. I have tried my best to be an adult about it and just push it out and not think about it, because doing so would make time slow down. But every time that I did think about it was, ooh, I can't wait. I really cannot wait. I can't wait to see how all this wraps up. I can't wait to see how the story ends, how the story goes, where the story goes. My hype has been at a very low grumble these past several months. This past week or two, especially this past month, it was very loud, and the week itself was just, this is going to be the longest week in fucking history for me. I know it. I know it. Thankfully, it finally came and went. The day of, I had a lot to do, so luckily the time went by and I didn't have to think about it too much. The Friday beforehand, I was just going out of my mind. I was just, I got to get this fucking last workday over with and go home and fucking indulge in video games and make the time go by. And I couldn't wait. I was getting super excited. And technically, I've been super excited about this for years, period, because this is a 22 movie, currently a 22 film giant arc that was concluded with on the heels of Avengers Infinity War, which is up there in probably my top 3 of the MCU movies. And I will tell you now, with all that weight and all that hype, for me, it was worth it. I enjoyed it. It sucks I had to wait, but I did the wait like everybody else, and everything paid off. Had a damn good time. Of course I recommend this. Of course I recommend that you not only go back and watch Infinity War, but if you haven't watched all these movies, go back and just fucking take your time and watch them all. Just get into this, because again, this, I would argue, even more so than Game of Thrones. These movies were made for everybody. This is not for just the comic book nerds. This is not just for superhero, geeks. These movies are made for the general audience to get in and have fun and cry and laugh and cheer people on, for everybody. And this movie caps all that off. Does a great job. I enjoyed it, had a good time. Of course, I recommend it. Chris, spoiler free. Let's go, man.
Yeah, when I left the theater, my thoughts were a bit jumbled on this, because yes, it's a good movie. Yes, I would recommend it. But there was a while where it felt kind of too slow. It was very much a slow burn. There was, of course, action in the movie, but I felt like maybe it wasn't enough. I don't know. It was... I can't look at one single part and go, that shouldn't have been in the movie. It was more like, okay, this is interesting, but it felt almost fillery, if you will. I've had a week to think about it, and I still cannot properly articulate this, what it is that just kind of triggers this reaction in me. But it felt a little off, I want to add, I'm sorry, as well. While I do recommend this, and it was a great movie, and I did have a great time, let me just throw this out there for audience as well, so I don't want to kneecap this at all, but I put personally Infinity War at a 5.0, at a Game Pro rating of the big red lit up face. Endgame, 4.5. Really excited face with a thumb up. Because I as well have some complaints. I have some things that I complained about. Whereas in Infinity War, I almost had nothing. I had a rip-roaring time with Infinity War. This one, I had a great time. So I feel you. And I feel like once we get into the spoiler talk, that's going to come to light. I feel like you and I are going to get all those points out. Trust me. So don't feel bad. Yeah, I would place Infinity War above Endgame, I think.
Yeah. That was my immediate thought too. Yeah. But it's not like it stomps on the movie like, Endgame was garbage. No. If I had to pick, and you asked me which I think is better, immediately Infinity War.
Yeah. So, but like I said, I would recommend it. I liked how last week you asked me the question, spoiler free, if Ant-Man and the Wasp, if there was any relevance. I was like, yeah, there is. A little bit, little piece in it, and it turned out that was in the movie, and it was not a little piece. So if you have not seen Endgame, and you have not seen Ant-Man and the Wasp yet, go watch Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Yeah.
It is necessary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, there you have it. I mean, I'm sure with the opening weekend being $1.2 billion, we don't. Little end of time cast doesn't have to be, the important factor in your life to make you go see this movie, but it's good to know that yes, we as well enjoy this movie. Again, I do say that it was fun, it was very entertaining, and it was worth the wait. It capped everything off. Everything was tied in a little bow, and it was just bravo, clap of a movie. Was worth the wait. I'm telling you, Chris, when the movie started, my wife, of course, we both saw it. We were sitting right by each other. I was kind of jittery throughout all the previews. And then when the movie started, there was just an audible, like I sat back in the chair and just, I didn't say it out loud, but in my head, I was like, you're here, man. Finally, you are here. This is happening. The movie's here. Let's fucking do this.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I enjoyed it. So, all right, folks, there you go. You've heard it. You know what we think about it. As of this point right now in this podcast, we are about to jump into spoiler, as in, especially the way that I would like to do this, we are going to blow this fucking movie wide open. So I would strongly recommend, not only for spoilers for Endgame, but because there are so many callbacks to previous MCU films, I would say spoiler warnings, full fucking stop. Okay, because I may get excited about something and bring up something from another movie, and that might take away a moment for you. So please, if you are not familiar, like truly familiar, and you don't have to know every single 100% aspect of every single movie. You don't have to recite the movie to us, but if you are not comfortably familiar with the entire MCU, stop listening now, please. Go catch up. And come back to this episode after you've seen Endgame as well. That way you have the full experience.
Mm-hmm.
But especially, most importantly, if you have not seen Avengers Endgame as of this moment in this recording right now, please, fair warning, please stop listening, go watch Endgame, and pick it up from this timestamp whenever you have. We're going to be talking about positives, negatives, but the point is we're going to be talking about this entire movie. That's what's going to happen. So spoiler warning for Avengers Endgame. You have been warned. Here we go. All right. So I have debated this whole week. Not only have I been excited about wanting to talk about this with you, Chris, but I've been debating on how I want to do this. I will tell you now, Chris, I have seen this movie a total of 3 times. so there's that. And I needed to. Because the first reason was, well, the most important reason. I had so many of the moments before and after the main battle in my head. And because so much went on during the main battle, aside from the big haha moment hits, I almost didn't remember much about it. And that's not a detriment to the battle itself. It's just I think I was too excited. I think I was too into it to pay strict enough attention. I was more just going wowie zowie the whole time, as opposed to when the story stuff was going on, it was a slower pace and I could kind of take mental notes. Plus, at any time in the theater that I saw this, I didn't bring a notepad or a paper, so I needed to see it enough times to try to keep this shit in my head.
I really thought about doing that.
Yeah. Come to find out, Chris, I didn't need to do that because after the first time that I saw this movie, I came home and this fucking spoiler warning was off for me. So I got to watch Red Letter Media's review and Easy Allies review and Comic Pop's review, and I watched so many in-game reviews and discussions just because I like to hear it. I like to hear. Come on, I'm a YouTube guy. All about listening to people's opinions and all that stuff. And I heard a lot of things that I missed, and I'm like, okay, when I go back and watch this again, I'm definitely going to pick up on this and check that out. And yeah, most of what I found out was true.
I've watched
so not only you've watched 0 reviews.
Yep.
Oh, I mean, that's fine. Not everybody does that. It's not for everybody, but definitely for me. I was excited, and I wanted to hear opinions, which of course across the board unanimously everybody loves it. But I also found out, thankfully, much like you and me, a lot of people did have some problems here and there, and that was good. How many times have you seen it, Chris?
Just the one.
Just the one. Okay, and that's fine too. Again, it's one time's kind of all you need, but you want more.
I'll watch it when it's available digitally.
Right. Right.
I did actually.
You're gonna have to.
I was thinking, I was like, I need to go watch Infinity War again. Now that I've seen Endgame, I kind of want to go watch Infinity War on Netflix just to refresh my memory on it.
Right.
And I actually thought about doing it before it, but even afterwards, I was like, there are still things I kind of want to go back and refresh my memory on.
Yep. And yeah, so the movie came out. If my understanding of early releases is to be correct, this game came out around pretty much 8-9 o'clock on a Thursday, and I did not get to see this until 9:30 on a Saturday or the following Saturday. So hyper mode for spoilers, hyper defense mode of clicking off things and not talking to people and yada yada yada. And thankfully all that paid out because I did not have any of the movie spoiled. And I didn't have any of the asshole things where somebody runs in a theater and says something stupid either. So thankfully, the whole entire experience itself was spoiler-free, and I got to ingest it all as it was meant to be.
Yeah, so funny story before we actually get into the meat of the movie. So Friday, it was either Thursday or Friday, I had looked online at the tickets, and I was like, okay, all the times are still open. None of them are grayed out, so no rush on buying the tickets. I wasn't exactly sure when I'd see it. And then Saturday rolls around, and we had plans on Sunday, so I was like, well, maybe I'll wait and go see it, Sunday after we're done, since I'm already going to be out and stuff. And as the day went on, I was like, you know what? I don't want to wait. So I went online to get my tickets, and we started going through the show times, and I was like, all right. And it's like, oh, only handicap seats available. Oh, only handicap seats. So it went through, and I started at like 11 in the morning or whatever time it was. We were looking, maybe it's closer to 12 or something like that. But I was like, okay, just started going through times because they're showing like every 5 to 15 minutes, being how big it is. And it wasn't until like 8 o'clock that a showing appeared where there was a seat, but it was like front row off to the side, terrible angle seat. I was like, I ended up not going to a showing until 10:20 that night.
Wow.
So I didn't walk out of the theater until like 2 a.m.
Oh yeah. But it was worth it though. It was worth it. So yeah, reeling this back on track, where I was going with any of this is that I was trying to figure out how I want to do this. And what I'd like to do is basically kind of how we did God of War. I'm going to try to go through the movie beat by beat. And if I say a scene or something that recalls a memory or something in your mind, by all means, spit it out, and I will the same. And I basically want to go through this whole movie because I feel that way I can get the positives and the negatives out. And if not, I'm just going to bounce all over the place like a fucking rabbit. And I can't do that. I'm going to try my best to make this as clear and concise with all the details and all the moments, just like I did with God of War. And I encourage you to as well, Chris. Neither one of us had the movie in front of us, so I kind of halfway cheated and used like all the reviews combined and just kind of took little story beat notes. And hopefully those will be enough to jog any fond memories you had or any negative memories.
I have the synopsis up, so.
Oh, okay. Well, there's that too. So, yeah. All right. So, really, really, really tiny quick before the movie even started. None of the previews really. I didn't really see anything I was interested in. I mean, there was a Star Wars trailer that I've already seen once again, and I think there was one trailer that I actually don't know what the trailer was because as soon as I saw it was another trailer, I ran to take a piss again real quick just to get that out of the way. So, slight disappointment that has absolutely nothing at all to do with the movie. I figured that with this movie being as huge as it was, or I knew it was going to be, that this would be a prime time for like the fucking, H-bomb of trailers of, oh, this movie's yay. But no, it was, Detective Pikachu and Star Wars, and I don't even remember the other one.
Yeah,
so.
The other one I saw was the new X-Men movie, Dark Phoenix.
Oh yeah, and the Phoenix one again. Yeah.
I realize that a lot of people don't like the current X-Men movies. I don't hate any of them. I wouldn't say I dislike any of them. So seeing the Dark Phoenix trailer, which I don't think I've seen before, so this was the first time seeing it, I'm kind of interested in it.
I will say that because of the actor that plays Professor X, because of the actor that plays Magneto, because and possibly they can do Nightcrawler some justice. I am also slightly interested in seeing this, but I've already made a mental note that when this shit comes out on Redbox, that's when I'll see it. I'm not paying to see this in theaters. I'm not hyping it up. And if it's good, if this turns out to be the best of all currently 4 of this generation of X-Men movies, then I will give it its due proper and say, yeah, it was good. Mm-hmm. But so many, an entire other podcast, Chris, of discussion on the X-Men, which hopefully all that will be washed away and it'll be redone. Again, well, not again, but just so folks know, if you're listening to spoiler free, you already know. But yeah, no X-Men stuff in Avengers Endgame at all. So don't my holy shit tear the roof off fantasy, of course, did not come true.
Yeah,
but that's fine. We'll see what happens in the future with X-Men. This had nothing to do with X-Men. This was Endgame. All right, Chris, here we go. So,
all right.
Movie kicks off right off the bat, reminding you at what's at stake and what happened. That whole scene with Hawkeye and his family. The moment where the first goosebump moment was when he turned around to talk to his daughter, and his daughter wasn't there, but you could see the ashes in the wind. I said, "Oh no, oh man!" My heart was already right back in place where Infinity War left off.
Yeah,
didn't need to be there.
Yeah, when I saw, I was avoiding spoilers before seeing it, but one of the reactions I saw from people posting a very innocent thing was they were like, "Yeah, I cried during the movie," and as soon as that started, I was like, "Well, yeah." I can certainly see why. And that just continued throughout.
Multiple. No problem admitting it, man, because I'm a man that's comfortable with everything about his life. There are a couple teary-eyed moments in this movie for me. My wife, she was a ball like 15 different times. Many times in this movie, I looked over at her and I just heard her. Yeah, and understandably so. There were many deep moments in this movie. And again, just for perspective, we're talking about comic book superhero movies, and yet you watch something like that, and having the context of that, if you don't get somewhat emotional over that, something's wrong with you. So yeah, that moment played in, and funny thing about that is that apparently I'm gonna have to go back and either do some research on my own or maybe just look up a YouTube video or do a wiki on it. But apparently, so he calls his daughter Hawkeye. He says, he says, "Way to go, Hawkeye." Yeah. Apparently, in the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe, that is the first time that name has ever been used properly like that. Nobody has ever called him Hawkeye in these movies. And Avengers 1. What's his name? The Dr. Selvig or whatever does say the Hawk, but nobody looks at Clint and goes, "You're Hawkeye." So the first time that name ever got used was him, Clint, talking to his daughter. I thought that was if that's true, agent. He was always known as Clinton or Clint Barton. So cool little thing. All right, so the movie moves on. God, with this 7-hour podcast right here, Chris, and I don't give a fuck. So we move on. In space, we got Tony and Nebula. They're playing some little paper football. More character moment right here. because Tony is trying to explain to her that, look, not everything is about murder, death, kill. You know, you don't have to grab the football out of the air. Just let it happen. I'm going to shoot and try to get a point. You're going to try to shoot and get a point. Oh, I missed. Now you got a chance to win. You won. Fair game. Shakes her hand. Did you have fun? Yeah, I had fun. Nice little moment to put, you already know how he is, but it puts her in perspective as well. You know, she's coming from a different walk of life completely, but she is embracing, you know. They're stranded in space. Apparently they did a lot of good teamwork, and they made the ship livable as much as they could for as long as they could. Air's running out, supplies are running out, they're dying, and they're stranded in space. Tony's made a recording, and he sent it back home to people as more pretty much like a goodbye, and he goes to sleep for what kind of felt like it was going to be his final sleep period. Yeah. Until something shows up, and it's Captain Marvel, which we know makes sense because in the trailer or the post credits for last movie, right before he also got dusted, Nick Fury clicked that button, which, you know, she must have went somewhere, heard the bad news, and then went out and saved him. So this is something I've noticed about many things in this movie, is that so many things clicked into place. You know, you can go back throughout the MCU and go, oh, this happened in Endgame because this happened in that movie and that happened in that movie. You know, a lot of callbacks, a lot of gears fell right into place. Right. Not all of them, but a good majority of them did. So, okay. So another emotional line, small line, emotional line, but still there. They get rescued. They get brought back to Earth. They land. Cap runs out there. The people that are left over on Earth go outside. They go to meet the ship. Tony runs up to Steve. He says something. I forget what his very first thing he said was, and he goes, "I lost the kid," and that was just again. They're still hammering home that this affected Tony, you know. And Cap, being the great man he is, you know, is like, look, man, Tony, we all lost. Like, I know, but come on, man, don't beat yourself up about this. And then the shit gets turned up. Then they go inside and they're having a discussion. And Tony has went from, man, I lost the kid and I feel horrible, to now I'm pissed off. And they're trying to get information, and Cap's asking Tony, like, do you have any coordinates or anything about him? And he's like, no, I don't have anything. And that whole speech, I have keyed in on this scene every time I've watched this movie now. This is this is like Civil War to me all over again. This emotional discussion is one of the reasons I loved Civil War. When Tony is telling Steve and everybody else, really, like, look, I what did I say? I wanted to make a shield around the world. I didn't care about freedoms. I didn't care about, you know, things that were going to be intruded upon. I wanted to create a shield around the world to defend over shit like this. And what did you say? No. And I said, we're going to die. And you said, we do that together. And guess what, Cap? We failed, and you weren't there. And just, I mean, hammering home more character from Tony. I loved that entire conversation. In fact, Chris, the line where he says, what are we? We're the Avengers. We're not the Prevengers. You know, we don't stop shit before it happens. We're the Avengers. So we let the bad shit happen. And I was like, man, this is too good. Tony pretty much passes out after taking off his thing. And then the rest of the team's trying to figure out what to do next. Nebula lets out that, hey, I know where he is. We just got to find it. Of course they find it. And this was the moment, Chris. So they go to the garden. They go to the garden where Thanos is. And this was a moment where, I don't even know what time. We're talking like maybe 15 minutes or so in the movie. And I was like, we're doing this. Like right the fuck now. There's no big planning, no gather the rest of the crew. It's, we got these people. Let's fucking go. Yeah, so they fly to the planet, and there's Thanos fucking cooking. Bam! Gets his ass handed to him, and They're like, where are the stones? Well, I already used the stones, and I used them to destroy them. Yet again, Chris, still developing Thanos as a character.
Man.
Still giving more to him than just, I'm just a villain that waves my fucking big power dick around. I'm a person. I have something you can relate to. I realized that now that I've done what I wanted to do with the stones, there's nothing left for them but temptation. For me, for anybody, destroy them, get rid of them. All right, well, I've destroyed them, so now they're gone. Peace.
Yeah, Thanos, man, what a character. Every single thing he did, every time he opened his mouth, it was amazing.
Yes. And this is an argument that I made, or not an argument, this is a discussion I had with Adam, and I've had with other people too, is a reason why Thanos is such a good villain is you can take any other villain that's not written like him and compare it to him. Look for villains that are basically evil just to be evil. Okay? And they fail because at the end of the day, they scream, they pound their fists together, and they go, I'm going to kill you. Thanos has motive. He has direction. He has character development. He has character flaws and character traits. And even this scene right here, they showed you even after the fact. Chris, he's already done the snap. What needed to be done is finished. And they're still showing you as a living being with thoughts and emotions. He said, there's nothing here but temptation. I don't want that temptation. Fuck that. Get rid of them. Didn't need that. Didn't have to have that. He's already fucking won, but he won even more. So they're talking back and forth, and then wham! Thor fucking chops his head off. And I love this part as well because of the way they wrote it. When he said, what did you do? He goes, I went for the head. Now, apparently a lot of people were conflicted on this scene because they didn't know whether to take that as a joke or not. And even me, in the first time I saw this movie, I got a little spark of that as well. Like, oh, wait, that wasn't really a joke. Well, maybe it kind of was. It felt like it could have been a joke, but whatever. What I got from that scene after watching it the second and the third time especially, there's no music. There's not a da-da-da, da-da-da, like a victory lap. It was just head off, silence. What did you do? I went for the head. And it's what just happened here, folks, is fucking great. Thanos has already done the bad thing. He's already won. He set out to do a goal. He accomplished that goal. The team came in after the fact, and Thor, after the fact, has now chopped his head off. Thanos told him, you should have went for the head. And then he snapped his finger. Now, all that time from that moment until now, he has had to live with that. He's had to live in regret and being pissed off, being emotionally distraught to, as any human, as any person, I have to get my revenge. I have to make up for this. I have to accomplish something. He goes to the garden, cuts the head off, and immediately gets personally deflated. That did nothing. I got my revenge, but I really didn't get anything at all. I didn't accomplish anything. I just killed Thanos, but Thanos killed half of everything already. So whoop-de-doo. What a scene. And then to add more emotion to it, screen goes dark. 5 years later. Those pauses, I'm pretty sure were intentional.
Yeah.
And they worked.
This was a very interesting point in the movie because it's like, well, what now? It's like, okay, well, we figured it would kick off action, and it really didn't do that at first. And then even when there was action, it wasn't a lot of action. It was, bam, doing their thing, and okay, it's over. What? Yeah. They basically, they've lost even when they won. So what now?
I mean, the only saving grace it could possibly be is, well, Thanos could potentially still be a problem. We took him out forever, but this, I mean, it's what do you always hear, Chris, from every movie or every show or every moral lesson? Killing them is not going to blank. And that's what this was. Killing Thanos did not bring anybody back, but he was so like, this is, fuck you, slice. Oh, wait, that actually I didn't feel justified. I didn't feel accomplished. I feel nothing. And he just sulks off. And then 5 years later. So we get a brief little scene with Captain America, Steve Rogers, holding like basically a little feel good powwow with some people. He's like, he's trying to help people get back on their feet and grief counseling. Bingo. There you go. And then, hooray, Master Splinter saves the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe because a mouse crawls across the dashboard of come on, Michael, get their names right. Ant-Man, Stephen Lang's van, and Scott Lang, sorry, pushes some kind of buttons, and then boom, Ant-Man comes out of the quantum verse or whatever it's called.
Quantum realm.
Well, quantum realm, yeah. So now he's back. Ant-Man's back, and he has to go through the town and go through the world and see what's going on. He's got to catch up on everything, and yet another heartbreaking scene. He goes to this giant cemetery like memorial and looks for his daughter. He's looking for his for what's her name? I forget the woman's name, Wasp, but he's looking for his daughter's name. Particular. He's looking around, doesn't find. I don't think he finds the daughter's name. He finds his, that's right, he finds his name. He's like, wait, what? So he hauls ass back home and finds his daughter. And they get to hug, an emotional scene, and all that was great. Get another cut scene or another scene where Steve is talking to, well, okay, there's a small scene right before this one where Nat is talking to the Wakandan main guard female. I forget her name, and
Okoye?
I believe so.
I pronounce it.
Yeah, me neither. I want to say Rocket and Captain Marvel and War Machine, and basically they're kind of like a little world council. And Nebula. Oh, I forgot that one. Basically talking to all these people and keeping world/galaxy events in check, finding out basically the status of everybody. And I don't remember if it's this scene. I think it's actually a scene prior where people are like, hey, look, Captain Marvel, you're so fucking powerful. Why aren't you here? And she makes a solid point. You know, there are thousands of other worlds out there in the universe that are going through the same exact thing the Earth is going through. The difference is they don't have the Avengers. So I'm going around helping people. Okay, well then, yeah, that gets explained, and okay, it makes sense. They take off, and Cap and Nat talk together for a minute, and then Scott Lang shows up. Ant-Man shows up. And it's like, yeah, so I've been in the quantum realm for a while, and I'm here. And that means that time manipulation or dimension manipulation or something can happen. It's been bugging me, but we can do something, and I don't know what, but we need to talk to somebody who can figure out time travel, basically. And if we do, we got a shot at fixing everything. So first person they go talk to is, and again, this is 5 years in the future, they go talk to Iron Man. He's had a kid. Obviously, him and Pepper Potts have been married now, and they have a kid. And he's living the life out in the woods with a really nice house and just chilling.
Yeah.
And the team shows up and is like, look, we got a chance. And he's like, he's not hearing it. He don't have nothing to do with this. And they're like, look, time travel and yada, yada. He's like, well, first off, time travel is not going to work. There's no way that can work. But putting that aside, I've got a family now. I'm not going to risk that. And I love the scene where Scott Lang is like, look, we actually have a shot here. I know it's a 1 in billions of chance, but we actually have a chance. Whether it fails or not, we should totally give that a try. We have a chance. Are you telling me you're not even gonna? And he goes, no, I'm not even gonna. Sorry. I got a family. I'm not gonna gamble that. And they're like, oh, well, what the fuck are we gonna do now? So they go talk to the Hulk. They go talk to Bruce Banner. And here's going to be the buddings of my first complaint in this movie, Chris. So they go talk to Bruce. Bruce has finally accomplished something that he's been wanting to for a while now. He has basically calmed the Hulk to a degree where he can become the Hulk. He becomes Professor Hulk, basically.
Right.
So he now has the intellect and mind and talking capacity and all this stuff of Bruce Banner, but he has the physical attributes and all the rage and all that of the Hulk. Mm-hmm. I'm fine with that. I was fine with all this stuff. Even, yes, Chris, even when he dabbed, I was like, okay, whatever. I thought the scene where he was like, where Scott Lang was like, hey, you want my autograph? You know, Ant-Man, you know, and they were like, no, they don't. The whole back and forth is like, come on. They said they want it. He goes, no, fuck it. Just give them, no. This threw a lot of people off, and I can understand. The CG is like a 8.5 out of 10. I had a little bit of removed every time that Hulk came on the scene because it just wasn't. It wasn't God of War 2018 quality, you know? It just a little bit off, but it's okay.
I didn't see that.
I let it go because I understood, you know, he's CG because he's the Hulk. It did fit well. It just wasn't perfect. But let me that wasn't my throw off though. That is not my complaint with Hulk in this movie. Neither is him being Professor Hulk. Much down the road in this movie, in this 6-hour podcast, Chris, I will further down the road get to why my complaint for the Hulk. Okay. But he's like, yeah, time travel, look, I'm going to tell you bottom line, not really my expertise, but I give it a try, whatever, sure. Goes back to Iron Man, and he's fucking up all night. It's bugging him, and he solves time travel. Fucking has that moment where he's like, oh, I figured it out. That I just good character writing for him. Always good acting from Robert Downey Jr. period, but all that was good.
Yeah, when he was doing his little models, he's like, yeah, just do this one. It's not going to work, but let's go ahead and basically check it off the list. And then it says success, and he's like, oh, I did it. Oh, It worked.
Yeah,
I solved it.
Yep. And the I love you 3000 line gets coined here. Pretty sweet moment between him and his daughter, which then gets furthered when he's like, yeah, did you know our daughter loves me 3000 and you were like the 600 to 800 range? I thought that was really funny. And he tells Pepper, like, look, I've solved it. I've solved time travel. And he gives her, man, this is a husband thing right here, man. Through and through. He's like, look, I can go fix this, but I can't. I could stop right now. I could put a pin in this and just live the rest of my life with you and the kid being super happy. And I was like, yeah, that's I felt that emotion from him. I felt that sincerity, you know, even though he is bullheaded. I feel like that was one time in this whole entire MCU where Pepper could have went, yeah, just leave it alone. And he probably would have done it.
Oh, yeah.
This movie was written just so well like that I felt that at that point. But she, of course, goes, nah, I've never been able to stop you. It's always been a failure of mine. So go. Just do it. I know you're going to do it. And blah, 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 blah. So, meanwhile, Professor Hulk is trying his own little diddly bop with Ant-Man and sending him back in time, and there's a little cute little funny scene where they send him back in time and he comes back as like a teenager, and he goes back and they're trying to fix it, and he comes back as an old man, and he goes back and gets sent back again as a baby, and they finally fix it, and he's like, oh, someone pissed my pants. I don't know if it was baby me or old me or just me, but somebody pissed my pants. A little funny comedic moment. Steve's outside, and Iron Man shows up, and he's like, yeah, I figured it out. Let's do this. Oh, by the way, I built you another Captain America shield. And he's like, I hope you like it. I built it for you. And he tells him thank you. And it's just that. I love all these moments between Cap and Iron Man. Just having the bonding always happens. It's like they're always they clash the most, and yet they come together so wonderfully.
Yeah.
And this movie is no different. This is also the scene where you get the taco delivery Professor Hulk moment. I thought it was really cute. You have the music, the little easy breezy music with Hulk sitting in the back of this teeny tiny little fucking car going down a hill. It's just okay. Yeah, it's funny, cute little moment. Hulk and Nebula go down to New Asgard? No. Hulk and Rocket went down to New Asgard.
Yes.
And they go talk to Thor, because they're trying to get Thor involved. Here is the start of my second complaint with this movie, which I actually have some points to make for this part right now. So yeah, they go down to first they meet up with Valkyrie, and she's like, yeah, he's not talking to nobody, good luck. So Rocket and Hulk go down there, go talk to Thor, and he's like, what up, bro? He's gained like 200 pounds. He's overweight. He seems to be very unkempt. He's let everything grow out, and it's all shaggy and unkempt and yada yada yada. He's drinking heavily, and he's just completely let himself go. That I have no problem with. I did have a slight tick with how they use the video game in this. So they've been playing Fortnite, which, okay, sure, Thanos was a guest character in Fortnite, so why not? I'm cool with that. But the mentality that Thor has, like, no goal, no ambition, he's just given up on everything, and he's just a slob and whatever, and now he plays video games. Like, come on, guys, don't use video games like that. That's whatever. But it did have some cute moments, with the two alien guys, and they're like, oh, the guy's being a dick again. And Thor, because he has nothing else to fight, he fights this fucking kid over a headset, and is like, yeah, go cry to your mommy, you bastard. The moment where Hulk brings up Thanos and his whole entire demeanor changes, very good moment. I saw a spark of hope in that moment. Where he's like, hey man, look, we're trying to do something, and Thor's like, yeah, whatever. We think we found a way to kill Thanos or fix whatever Thanos did. And he'd like stone faced, and he grabs him, he says, don't ever say that name. And I'm like, oh, good. The rage is still there with him, the seriousness is still there with him, because this whole schlub, I'm not really feeling it. How did you feel about just even this beginning scene with him, Chris?
So I can appreciate the whole kind of escaping society and just kind of sulking off in his little hut with his alien buddies, who they're great. I love the whole interaction between the three of them. That's a good thing right there. But him, his appearance and stuff, I can understand being slovenly, but and as Guardian looking like that, I don't.
Yeah.
I felt like that wasn't a canon thing. Like, it didn't make sense in canon that, and as a Guardian would look like that, especially Thor, regardless of 5 years passing. That's nothing he's hundreds of years old at this point. So what's 5 years, right. In his Guardian's biology. Right. The game scene, when it went to Fortnite, I was like, of course it's Fortnite, because why not?
Yeah.
And I got a kick out of yelling at the kid.
Yeah. I rolled when it was Fortnite, but unlike many other movies that have done this, I didn't eye roll as hard. It's more like an eye roll where, like, I'm really defenseless. I have no choice but to accept this because everybody knows Endgame or Avengers, and everybody knows Fortnite. Okay. I don't, if it's fine that they weren't playing something super specific and nerdy like fucking Front Mission 3 or something. I get why they used Fortnite.
Yeah.
I moved on with it. So, then we get the cool scene, the cool little bit where you find out that Hawkeye has been, he's changed into Ronin. He's basically been going around and kicking ass. And I got to tell you, even from the first trailer where I saw this shit, I really wanted to see how they were going to go about make this make sense. I can rationalize that his family is gone and he has went ape shit. I didn't get that from the trailer though, so I wanted them to explain it to me. When the first scene of Endgame happened, I said, okay, I can see now what can motivate him, but even that is not enough. I need somebody to draw this out. Why the fuck is he just going around killing everybody? Besides, I just want to get my vengeance out by killing bad people. Yeah. And they answer it in this scene in sentences.
They actually mention him back when the scene with Nat talking to all the others in the holograms. They're like, yeah, Barton's down, and I think he was talking about Mexico. They just got back. Yeah. Someone got back from, and the scene was horrendous. So that was his
War
previous
Machine was like,
target.
yeah. War Machine was like, yeah, if I, given what I've read about what happened, I don't know if I want to find him. And it's not just like in case he comes after me. It's more like the shit that he's done is bad. So, but yeah, you find out that he's fighting some fucking thug Ronin samurai or Yakuza samurai or some bad Yakuza guy. And he's like, hey man, why the fuck are you fighting me? He's like, look, when Thanos did the snap, he killed half of everybody. And there are bad ones left as well as the good ones. The people that died got Thanos. You got me. And I was like, okay, I got you. Now I'm full in with this whole Ronin character. Let's see how this plays out, if he's going to be this way for the entire movie. No, he wasn't. That was what you get, and that's all I needed. So the scene goes on. Oh, the movie goes on. They do a quick experiment to see how the time travel is going to work. And yeah, Barton's like, hey, I'll do it. Fucking send me back. I'm down for that. And man, he gets sent back to a time where he can go see his family again. And the moment that he gets to go see his daughter, he gets teleported back because you're only gone for a certain amount of time. Right. And that might have been all the information or the motivation he needed, because number one, he got the time travel confirmed, but also it's like just another reminder, this is what you're doing. You're going to get this shit back if this shit works out. So really, really good part of the movie. There's a bit of a runaround for a bit, a little bunch of scenes where they're trying to figure out how they're going to make this happen, what points in time they're going to go back. And the idea is they're going to go back and get the stones and fix everything. So, I like the scene where they were laying on the ground and they were like, hey, if we go to this time, there's like 3 stones in the same spot. And they were like, oh, that's easy. So they slowly figure shit out and they start going back in time. One group goes back to New York pretty much right at the end of the battle of Avengers 1. So there's a little scene in here, Chris, that further fuels the Hulk problem with me. So Hulk gets to watch old Hulk back in the Avengers just fucking tearing ass. He throws a car down on an alien and stomps on it and rages and takes off. And they look back at the new Hulk and he's like, oh man, he's kind of ashamed of that. And I'm like, why? That's part of you, but whatever. I laughed at it. Okay. And then he goes out there and kind of mocks himself, kind of slightly taps a car and rawr, and takes the motorcycle and tosses it a little bit. Rawr. I was like, okay, now you're mocking. Oh, come on, man. I don't know. This scene was kind of sort of lost on me a little bit. But their idea is they're going to go back and get the Tesseract. Another team, actually, I don't remember who all, but Hulk, Bruce Banner, goes to talk to the timekeeper,
The
I was.
the Sorceress Supreme.
The Sorcerer Supreme. I was like, yay, we get to see her again. And he's like, hey, I need the time stone. And she's like, no. And he goes, well, I don't have time to argue. And she hits him and knocks Bruce out of the body, just like she did with Doctor Strange back in the Doctor Strange movie. And she was like, let's start over. And I was like, oh, good. I get to see these two talking. Okay. Then we have another group where Thor and Rocket go back to get I forget which stone it is. I don't remember. Either way, they go back to get another stone, and it's back in Thor's old past where his mother's around.
Yeah.
The idea is they're going to distract somebody, and they're going to pull the stone out of Natalie Portman's character. And here's another place where I'm going to complain a little bit about Thor. So Thor sees his mom, and he's like, "Oh man," and I get that. You know, you see your mom. Your mom's been dead forever. You get a chance to go see her. You're going to freak out a little bit. They kind of poured it on a little too thick. Like he was really having a panic attack. And again, we're talking about Thor here. Yeah. I get that with Thor Ragnarok, Chris, you know, that they made him a jokey character and a little bit more down to earth, a little bit more hot and cold as opposed to always hot. But
I keep saying Ragnarok, my least favorite MCU movie, and it just all the things they did like that. This is why.
But here's the thing, though, Chris. For me, Thor Ragnarok had a solid balance for me. There were times where Thor could like and just joke and kid, but when he got down, it fucking went down. This character kept pouring on the jokey, like the moments that were supposed to be serious, and they got punctuated with a it was too much. It was too many from him and too much. And this was another part where that happened exactly. You know, he was supposed to go distract somebody, and he was like, I can do this, I can't do this. And it was like a moment. I was like, why are you freaking the fuck out, dude? And then he runs into his mom while Rocket has to go off and do the thing by himself. He runs into his mom, and you know, he's trying to play it off like, no, I'm the son, you know. And she's like, I was raised by witches. I see more with more than just my two eyes. I know my son. And he's like, I'm totally from the future. I was like, why are you doing this, man? Like, stop with, you don't need a joke every fucking second. This is a moment where you are talking to your mother who has been dead and out of your life for years. Make this serious. And they finally got serious, but every now and again they still kept jabbing those moments in there. Just really wasn't completely happy with Thor in this scene as well. It should have been played a little bit deeper.
Yeah, what I was kind of hoping when I saw his appearance, I was thinking, you know, at some point he's going to get more serious and we're going to see some Asgardian magic or something to where he loses his flab and he's back to being, you know, the Thor we know.
Yes.
But we didn't see that.
Nope. And yeah, we'll get to more Thor here in a little bit. So then we get to a scene where Clint and Nat and Nebula and War Machine are all on Vormir, which Vormir is the place where they go to. Well, no, they're not all on Vormir. They're somewhere, and then Clint and Nat take a ship to Vormir. Which those of you that don't know everything by name, they're going to get the Soul Stone. Now, Chris, I want to ask you. I waved this off. Okay, I waved it off because it's a movie and it played out dramatically, in which we'll get to in a minute. It did play out great, but. And my wife said the same thing. She remembered it a little bit before me, but Chris, I honestly forgot how the fuck you get a Soul Stone until they both got there and both saw Red Skull.
Oh, I remember from the start.
And I went, oh fuck no! One of them is going to have to be sacrificed. Now, my question to you, Chris, and to the audience as well, please let me know your theories on this. If you're planning this out, if you're the team, and the team's figuring this out, you all know how the Soul Stone is made because the Nebula that is there was the one who told them in the previous movie, hey, Thanos and more what was the other daughter's name? oh God,
I
there's
just
too many.
read it.
The green daughter. I'm so sorry. I can't. I knew this was gonna happen. As I was thinking this out throughout the week, Chris, I kept forgetting fucking people's names. But yeah, her and Thanos went to Vormir. Only Thanos came back, and they all understood from that. They all inferred from what she said. She got sacrificed to make that stone. So, number one, they knew that somebody was going to have to go to Vormir and get sacrificed again to get another stone. If that's the case, whether or not that's the case, Chris, why did they send Nat and Clint
Gamora.
to Vormir? Gamora. Yeah, sorry, Gamora. Of all the people in this thing, I mean, I'm sure we could have a round-robin discussion of who really deserved to be sacrificed. But they picked those two to go to Vormir. And one of them had to be sacrificed. What a setup.
Yeah.
So it really feels like the scene is played out like they didn't know that until they got there. I make the argument that Nebula knew that, and what, did she just not mention that? Did she not tell them? Who knows? Whatever. So they go there, and they have to have the discussion between themselves. Who the fuck's gonna get sacrificed? I don't remember if that part right there exactly was when the sacrifice happened. I'm reading back through my notes here. I lost my place. That's my fault. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
Fuck. I can't believe I forgot this. Anyway, so we'll leave that. We'll pin that there just in case I'm in the wrong part of the movie. But yeah, so next that comes up is that it's time for some shit happens where Nebula gets caught. Oh, that's right, because she tells War Machine, like, look, we're not the only ones looking for this stone. There's Thanos, Gamora, and me. And Nebula, the old Nebula in this time frame, is, talking and trying to impress Thanos and whatnot, and she has a bit of a glitch and shows a scene where that scene, old Nebula is showing Thanos that scene where Nebula is talking to War Machine, and Thanos is like, "Nani? What the hell?" And he's like, "Yeah, bring her back to my ship. We're gonna figure this shit out right now." So he's starting to get the hint that something's going awry with these stones. Next bunch of great scenes. The end of the Avengers has happened, and then the future team is there watching all this shit unfold. There's a funny thing about Hulk having to take the stairs because he can't fit in the elevator. Loki's there getting hauled away. They even put a pin on it by Loki talking and talking and talking. It shows Thor actually put a mouth guard on him, so that's where that thing came from the Avengers movie. Thought that was a nice little touch up. Shit's going haywire because what you now know is Hydra team is there, and they're like, yeah, we're gonna take that stone. And he's like, oh, okay. Captain America gets on the elevator with him. Great moment, Chris, because it almost felt like it was beat for beat going like Civil War or Winter Soldier did.
Yeah.
Or was it Civil War? Maybe it was Civil War. I forget. But it was beat for beat the elevator scene, and I thought they were gonna have the whole fight over again, but they didn't, because Captain America's smart. Steve leans over to the main dude and goes, "Hail Hydra." And man, I was like, yes! Oh, it was such a good moment. The first loud cheering moment in my theater was that one right there. And the look on everybody else's faces is like, what? He's a Hydra agent all along. And it's like, yeah, so he's walking out with the Tesseract. Oh, sorry, with the scepter, and they're downstairs hauling him out. There's a big kerfuffle between the secretary that we've seen before, yada yada yada. Ant-Man makes him fake a cardiac arrest, and Loki sees the Tesseract on the floor, grabs that fucker, and yoink, blinks out of existence. He's got the Space Stone and he disappears. This right here, Chris, this is how we have every other movie in the MCU now. Mm-hmm. Loki took that fucking thing, and there's no telling what he did, but guarantee we can make some movies around it for sure. How are the X-Men mutants formed in the future, Chris? Loki. That's how. So Captain's leaving, he's heading out, and who does he run into? Captain America. And I was like, right here, Chris, I was like, how is this going to play out? What kind of weird, wacky time travel explanation hijinks are going to pull? And the old Captain America puts his hand up to his ear and goes, I have eyes on Loki. And I was like, oh, okay, nice. They fight each other. The pocket watch falls out. The old Captain America's like, how the fuck did you have this? And they're fighting. Oh, I forgot the obvious other funny part. Cap gets knocked down and he gets up. He goes, I could do this all day. And the future Cap was like, yeah, I know. I love that moment.
Yeah.
So old Cap is choking out. So past Cap is choking out future Cap, and future Cap says Bucky's alive, and that shakes him for a minute. Mm-hmm. He breaks out of the chokehold, grabs a scepter, fucking lays him out, and that's fine. Oh man, Chris, I'm sorry, I almost forgot the fucking America's ass scenes. So
yeah, I was trying to remember where they were in the line.
Yeah. That's in this one. It was right when this one started, actually. So it's right when they were standing over Loki. And then now the scene picks up where that movie ended. It shows them walking away, and fucking Tony's fucking with Steve the whole time. He's like, gotta tell you, man, that old outfit not only was pretty bad, but it did nothing for your ass. Mm-hmm. And fucking Scott Lang, being the Captain America fanboy that he is, he goes, I beg to differ. Matter of fact, the way I see it, Cap, that's America's ass. It's like, oh, he is such a fucking fanboy, man. And then, that pays off later in this scene where old Cap is knocked out and future Cap is looking at it, and he actually stares at his own ass for a good minute. He's like, yeah, that's America's ass, and takes off. Very interesting scene happens next, one that I can't wait to talk to my personal friends in life, because I have some friends that do not like talking time travel at all, and it's going to be interesting going over this next scene. But so the Hulk is talking to the Sorcerer Supreme again, and she's like, look, I mean, you want to take these stones and go help your future, but that doesn't really do anything for my timeline. That screws up ours. And Bruce says, no, look, I don't think science proves that. And she physically lays out a line and goes, look, the stones form this timeline. If you take one out, it branches off, and that may be good for your line, but my line is now fucked because our chief weapon is gone. And he goes, no. What if we borrow it, use it, and then put it right back where it belongs? Our timeline will be fixed, and your timeline, it'll be like nothing happened at all. And she's like, yeah, good point. Still not going to do it. I can't risk everything because you have to win. And he's like, I win. We will. I promise. And she goes, I'm not going to risk everything over a promise. And he goes, well, what the fuck? Well, why did fucking Stephen Strange even give the stone away? And she goes, what? She goes, yeah, Steve gave the fucking stone to Thanos. And she's like, why did he willingly? Yeah, why? I don't know. Maybe he fucked up. And she goes, or maybe I did. She gives the time.
That was a amazing moment.
Yes.
That look of realization on her face, because watching Doctor Strange, she is a very interesting character. She has a presence about her the entire time you see her interacted with, and then for her to realize kind of in that moment, oh, I'm doing something wrong, and just the instant switch that's flipped in her demeanor once she has a realization. Awesome.
Yep. So she hands the time stone over to Hulk, and she's like, he was supposed to be the best of us, and it's like he realized, like, oh, well, then obviously he did this for a reason, so hopefully we're in the right. Let's go get this job done. So that scene plays out. You go back to Thanos' ship for a little bit, and he's watching all the playthrough of all this stuff that's already been in the past. You know, he's watching himself get the stones, he's watching himself do the snap, he's watching the after effect, the conversations, sees all this stuff, and it's him coming to terms with. It's more development now for old Thanos. This is the like 9 years in the past Thanos, and he's seeing himself going, I fucking did it. Like I accomplished what I need to accomplish. So yeah, we're gonna I want to see everything. I want to watch all the stuff, and he's still investigating. You get another scene with Thor and his mom, and they have a good send off. You know, you need to be better, and you're gonna be better, and yada yada yada. Some good motivational speeches from his mother, and they take off back where they're supposed to be. Next little funny scene is Nebula and it was Nebula and War Machine, yeah, and they're on the planet where Star-Lord was on, and I love how they did this. So when you watch Guardians of the Galaxy 1, you see Star-Lord, you know, dancing around and, you know, having a good time, but you have the music overlaid in the movie, so you hear the music loud as hell, and you get to see him dancing to it. So they start that way in this one. So you get to see that, and then right when the chorus hits, the music goes away, and you just barely hear it in his headset, and all you see is him dance around going, and they're like, so he's an idiot. They're like, yeah, he's an idiot.
Yeah.
They fucking nice little comedy moment there. They get the stone, they take off, they got what they need. And that's another stone taken care of. Thanos again gets to watch all these scenes play out. He's still doing some more investigation. He even sees the part where he gets killed, and I love that line. It's like that is destiny fulfilled. Like he knows that he wins. He knows that he does what he wants to, and then he gets his head cut off. But he's like, yeah, and then you know that happens. Oh well, that's gonna happen. I still did what I wanted to do. So, future Nebula realizes this. She tries to make a distress call back home, doesn't get out. But old Thanos, is talking to old Nebula and is like, look, you say you won't betray me. I'm going to give you a chance to prove that you won't. And sets up for what's about to happen. Iron Man, Captain America, and Ant-Man are all having an argument. They're all pissed off because they basically blew it. You know, Loki got the one cube and took off and yada, yada, yada. So they're like, well, now everything's fucked. And then Scott Lang is like, yeah, we only had so many Pym particles, so now we pretty much have to go home, and that's it. We're done. We failed everything. Tony and Cap have the idea, no, let's go way back into the past because there's another place where we can get the Tesseract from. And they do. Great scenes here, man.
Oh yeah.
Tony accidentally runs into his father from back in the past. His father talks to, you know, future Tony as if they're, you know, a couple of old guys. Tony's father's talking about fixing to have a kid, which of course is Tony. He asks him and Tony's acting like Tony actually already has a kid, so they're both having a dad conversation, you know.
Yeah.
Tony's dad asks about, you know, hey, did you have any idea what you're doing? Did you plan anything out? And he goes, I literally was making up everything as I went along. And just a little funny talk back and forth. Gives him apparently coins the phrase for him about money never bought any time or something like that. And that's actually a line that he said in one of the Iron Man movies. So apparently he taught his own father that line. I thought that was really cool. Had a brief moment with Captain America where he got to see Peggy behind some glass. She never saw him, but she got to look at him, and again, just hammering home that he still loves that woman, and that's great. More stuff with Thanos and Nebula. Nebula's actually fighting her old self and being like, yeah, I'm gonna take your shit and make me look like you. That way I can fool everybody. And yeah, she puts some plans in motion. Then you have the big. This is okay. Thank God I took the right notes. So now it comes to the sacrifice part. Yep, they figure out, Nat and Clint, that somebody actually has to be sacrificed for the Soul Stone to appear. And there's a great fucking scene back and forth where, like, you know, one of them says, okay, I'll sacrifice myself. And then the other one stops them from doing it. And then they stop the other one from doing it. And they stop back and forth. Mm-hmm. And I mean, it's going to be somebody, but unfortunately it was Nat. You know, she, now this, go ahead, Chris.
When this scene started, and knowing, of course, as we do, what's required for this stone, I was wondering how they were going to do it without the sacrifice. And I was like, movie magic, so to speak, are they going to use to, find this, plot, this, loophole to do that? And they didn't.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah,
welcome to, Marvel Game of Thrones. Here we go.
Yep. Somebody had made a joke on one of the reviews I watched. It was like, wouldn't it be funny if they just, you know what if this fucking Red Skull floating dude is full of shit? Let's just kill him. And they kick him off the thing, but they were like, yeah, but he floats, so that wouldn't work. And plus, per the logic of it, this is what I was going to bring up just now, Chris. Per the logic, you have to sacrifice something that you love. But here's the thing. There is no doubt that these two did not love each other in the utmost friendship way. They were essentially brother and sister. There was no doubt their love for each other. But whenever when Clint was hanging off the wire with one hand and holding her with the other, and she says, let go, and he's like, no, I'm not going to do that, she kicks herself off, and he has to let go. It's like she pulled away. He didn't let her go because there was no other choice. So I wonder why that really counted as a sacrifice. I guess the argument could be made that they had already fallen a couple times and had caught each other, that maybe he could have saved her again but chose not to. Either way, it's very, very tiny nitpicky. At the end of the day, she sacrificed herself. Clint got the stone, and that's taken care of. Still a sad moment, man. And I don't know why. I really don't know why, but I really felt this sacrifice more than Gamora's. Maybe because in Infinity War, Gamora's was just kind of like, oh, this shit's going right now. Whereas this one, you knew what was required, and it was more more painful, I guess.
And this also reinforced, Infinity War. With the whole, Thanos making the sacrifice with Gamora. It was like, you see, the relationship between Clint and Nat. So when you compare that, you go, well, we know now, or we already knew, but this kind of reinforces the idea that we knew of what it takes to accomplish this. So you see more of Thanos' emotions and, how he really cares.
That it was legitimate. She wasn't just a tool that he raised up for this moment. He loved his daughter, like he said, and he genuinely had to sacrifice her, because if he did not care about her, it wouldn't have been a sacrifice. It would have been a means to an end, and that doesn't work for the Soul Stone.
Right.
So everybody comes back. They got their stones. They've got everything together, and then it's a realization that Nat's not there. They're all outside. They're talking about it, and Thor's like, "What the fuck are y'all crying about? We can get her back." And Clint's like, "No, we can't." And he's like, "Look, man, we're talking about space magic here. Of course it can work." He's like, "Well, you know what? That's what the fucking guy told me. You don't like it? You take your fucking hammer and you fly. You go to Vormir. You talk to the dude." Yeah. But I'm telling you what he said, that we can't get her back. There's no getting her back. So, of course, they decide to make they make a gauntlet. Oh, go ahead.
Real quick, that scene, it felt, there's something a little awkward about it. It felt very defeatist of him be like, no, there's no way, and well, he's not wrong. And I don't know if it's just kind of extending on, you know, the grief he already has, you know, going into this from the very start of the movie. But it seemed almost too much too much denial, if you will.
Yeah. I have the opposite of that, man. It played out really well for me because Thor was like doing the Thor thing, which we didn't really see a whole lot in this movie until now. But yeah, he was belittling Clint. He was like, look, you're a little human, you're a little earth person. We're talking about magic here. And Clint's like, look, man, fuck you. Okay? This is the way it is because this is what the guy said. You know, fuck you. So I liked it. It worked for me. So yeah, they got all the things together, and Iron Man has made, of course it's Iron Man. Tony Stark has made an Infinity Gauntlet of his own. They put all the jewels in. They're having a discussion on who's going to be the one to take it. And Thor's like a somewhat redeeming scene for Thor right here. They're all debating on who's going to put it on, and Hulk said he should do it, and Thor's like, no, I should do it. I'm a fucking god. I literally have lightning flowing through my veins, and everybody's talking him down, saying no, it's, you know, blah 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 blah. And he's like, please, let me do something. Let me do something important again. You know, that moment did touch me. That was okay, I feel you. But at the end of the day, no, it was Hulk. Hulk takes the gauntlet, puts it on, and freaks out. Now by this point, there are a few little mini scenes here and there I keep leaving out, but bottom line, past Nebula has wormed her way through the future, and she's basically going to set a teleporter or the time thing to teleport 9 years ago Thanos to today, ship and all. So in the moment while Hulk's got the glove and doing his thing, and they're like, look, the only thing we want you to do is snap everybody that was killed in the snap back. That's it. Don't fuck with anything else in the time or none of that, just that. He's like, I got it. He puts the glove on, and he makes the quip about him being made for this because there's going to be a lot of gamma radiation, and that's what he is. So he's like, this is me. I should do this. Puts the glove on. It fucking powers him down. It's hurting him and blah, 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 blah. And everybody's like, take it off. And Cap's like, no. Hey, are you good? And he's like, yeah, I'm good. And then he does his own snap. Little quiet, serene moment. Scene goes by. Everybody's trying to figure out what's going on. Did it work? Did he blah blah blah? And Scott Lang looks out the window and sees. What's weird is it's fine for Scott. I mean, he sees like butterflies and stuff, but that doesn't mean anything. So, the important part. Go ahead.
And I don't go ahead, Willis. But you finish your thought, and I'll.
I was going to say, well, the realization that it did work was that Clint got a call from Laura on his phone. Okay. So, yeah.
So the significance when he was looking out the window, it took me a moment to really think like, okay, well, why does it make sense? It wasn't, if I'm not mistaken, it wasn't like Thanos was wiping out half the humans, because keep in mind it also affected his guardians, etc. It was half of all life. Yeah, so the way I saw that scene was, it was a bird, and their other half, their mate, had returned, and there was this little. The birds were interacting. You know, they seeing each other for the first time in 5 years. It was kind of a. That's the way I interpreted that.
Yeah, I think I felt that when I saw it too. I just didn't. I didn't put it together like that, but. Yeah, so it's a good. You pretty much get the idea without having 10 minutes of celebration that it worked. Hulk got it, put it on, snapped, brought everybody back that was killed at the snap. Everything's good. That lasts for about 20 seconds. Yep. Because at this point, Nebula has brought Thanos and his fucking mothership to the future with them, and Hulk is looking up at the sky like, oh, my arm, fuck, dude, fuck. He looks up through the window and sees that fucking ship there. As soon as he sees the ship, you see a missile fly down. Boom. The whole fucking complex gets glassed. Fucking explosions, yada, yada, yada. Just everything gets exploded. Here's a complaint of mine, Chris. And no, I'm not the first. I made this in the theater, but there are other reviewers that as well have made this point. I'm off, and I get it, Chris. They're superheroes, they're superhumans, and they're plot specific, so I get it. Thanos basically glassed that fucking area. That shit was caved in a crater. And when the scene keeps going, people just kind of get up and brush shit off. Nobody got really injured, and nobody died. You did get to see the scene where Rocket was like, "It's on me, I can't breathe," and War Machine, canopy, and got out of the armor. There were some dire situations, but nobody was dead.
Yeah, I really thought at that point, I was like, oh, Thanos came back and just killed half of the team, at least.
Yep.
And now we're going to have what's going to happen with the glove at that point. You know, it's like, okay, this just got real. You know, even more than it already has been.
Yep. So Thanos arrives on the ground, and Nebula's there, and he's like, "Good job, daughter." And she's like, "Thanks." And he's like, "All right, go get the Infinity Stones for me. They're down there somewhere." And she goes, "What are you going to do?" And he's like, "Wait." That Thanos, even in Infinity War, really fucking good at being calm but menacing. I'll tell you, Chris, and audience, you can look this up right now for yourself, but that moment, Chris, in Infinity War, when Thanos first teleports himself back to Titan, and he steps to the teleporter and like kind of veers out the side of his eyes one way and then looks forward, I love that look. Equally on this one right here, he fucking stabs the damn double-bladed spear in the ground, sits down and goes, "Wait," and just looks off to the side. Like he's just fucking calm. He has this menacing calmness to him that I have loved throughout this movie. So we get Nebula talking to past I forgot her name again, Gamora, and you know, she's like, you know, what happened between us? It's like we were enemies, but then we became friends, and they're gonna try to help each other, thankfully. Shows Iron Man and Cap together. Iron Man found his shield and was like, "Look, I got this, but I'm telling you now, if I find this again and it's not on you, I'm keeping it." little joke. Yeah. They step outside, and there's Thanos. Man, Chris, this is another reason why I can't wait for this movie to come out on DVD and Blu-ray and all that, because there are just like Infinity War, there are so many wallpaperable scenes in this movie, and this is one of the ones right here. Whenever they're walking out, and there's Thanos just sitting down on some rubble, hand on a knee, and the other one's just twirling some fucking rocks around. He could be doing anything. He could be leveling a city right now. He could be hunting for he could get the fucking stones himself. And he's just sitting there because he knows. He fucking knows what he is. Yeah. And there's a talk. Now, this is also okay. So they tried to redeem Thor a little bit right here. A little bit. Because they're like, all right, there he is. Let's kill him proper. And I don't know, Chris, Thor powers up, and he gets his beard gets braided, and his dreadlocks gets braided, and he calls both the Mjolnir and the thing to himself. And I'm like, all right, but this doesn't make up for all the shit I just had to go through with you. Yeah. and if that camera pans down and you still got a gut, call me an asshole if you want to, but fuck that. So, Chris, if we didn't have enough character development with Thanos, we get even more here. He says, you know, I thought that people would be thankful for what I did, but nobody is. Mm-hmm. And I thought that this would be a good thing, but apparently nobody cares. Everybody just wants to fucking whine and bitch and cry and fight me. And Tony Stark goes, yeah, we're stubborn. Of course we are. And he's like, good. I'm glad you are, because now it gives me reason to do something different. I realize that killing half the population of the entire universe doesn't do shit, because the ones that are left over are pissy little assholes. I'm going to wipe everyone out and start over. I'm going to create a race of life in the universe that's going to be thankful for me. All they're going to know is I created them, and I created good. And even Cap was like, it's going to be fucking created out of blood. And Thanos goes, and nobody will know.
Mm-hmm.
More now he is tripped over into villain mode. Now he's not just cool, calm, calculated, doing this stuff that somebody can relate to. And now he's just like, I'm just going to be fucking evil. Now, Chris, in this movie, in this arc of movies, he has now earned that for me. You know?
I don't think he actually, I don't know. It's hard for me to say that he crossed the line here. You know?
Well, okay, just go ahead.
This is just the next stage. This is, obviously things aren't working out. Let's step it up a notch. But his end goal is essentially the same. It's just a little bit harsher, It's not like that, just for evil's sake type thing like you were talking about earlier. This is still the same plan, just different.
Yeah. Well, what I mean is, he didn't I'm trying to think of another villain that actually did it, but he didn't start foaming at the mouth and screaming and going crazy, wacky, nutso job. I'm just going to kill everything because I can. This was the power shift in what he was doing. Mm-hmm. Instead of balancing what was going on, he was just going to wipe the scale and create brand new. Now it's went from leaving some sorrow people behind to I'm wiping everything and doing the way I want to. That is up a notch for me. That's fucked up. But my point is, imagine if this was like one or even two or even just one movie, and now this fucker shows up. This is the equivalent of I'm evil just to be evil, or I'm going to do the ultimate thing. I want to genocide because of these reasons. Instead of having only two or even just one movie to go by, we already have all this backfill for Thanos. You have all this previous knowledge and previous, buildup of a character of him, to where when he does this super ultimate villainy type thing, it's like, you have progressed up the ladder to now this is your reasoning, and I get why, compared to what you used to do. Just better written and more earned when it comes to I'm gonna do the ultimate of ultimate, as opposed to just coming out the gate going I'm killing it all because I'm bad, I'm evil. Rawr. So they have this talk back and forth and yada yada yada. I so many times in these movies I've seen Thanos just sit there and talk, and I'm drawn to the screen every time. Now, this is just editing and it's fine, it's whatever, but they're like, fuck it, let's go. They go to fight. There's about 5 seconds of the four of them going back and forth, and the scene cuts. Goes back to Ant-Man and Clint, and they're trying to get out and yada yada yada. Clint has the glove and with all the stones in it, and he's trying to get out. And Ant-Man's trying to help him. Yada yada yada. Gamora shows up, and he's like, "Oh, thank God you're here." And she takes a glove from him, and he's like, "Yeah, you go get that to whoever." And she goes, "Father," and he goes, "Wait, what?" And he goes, "I've got the glove." And he's like, "Oh shit!" And she's about to kill him, and Gamora shows up, and Gamora's like, I'm sorry, Nebula, well, technically they both show up, but first, Gamora shows up, points a gun, Nebula. She's like, stop.
Oh, sorry.
Damn it, Chris. First, Gamora shows up, points a gun at her, she's like, come on, man, you're better than this, you shouldn't do this, and she's like, nah, And then Gamora shows up, future Gamora, is like, hey, we're better than this, stop that, and she's like, no, and then Gamora shoots... past Gamora.
Nebula.
Sorry, present Nebula shoots past Nebula. I don't know why.
Don't worry, audience. I'll get him eventually, on the right track.
So, future Nebula is talking to past Nebula, and she's like, put the gun down. No, I won't. Come on, you're better than this. No, we're not. And then past Nebula goes to shoot somebody. I forget if it was Clint or if it was Jesus Christ, what is wrong with me? She goes to shoot somebody, and future Nebula shoots her instead. So Nebula shot herself. Mm-hmm. They've got the glove now. Now the movie goes back to the action. And thank fucking God, and it was good. Okay.
Oh yeah, this is amazing scene.
Yes, this is finally 2-something hours into this movie, you finally get the good 20, 30 something minute battle that you've been waiting for this entire time. The scene kicks off with fucking Iron Man's back opening up and him like, go ahead, Thor, charge me up, and Thor fucking throws lightning into his back and he shoots out a super fucking laser, which I gotta say, Chris, if I'm being an asshole, I'm trying to figure out how the fuck Thanos evaded this. He takes the double-bladed axe thing, and Chris, did he spin that fucking thing that fast? I read somebody somewhere said that it was, one of the reviews I watched said it was motorized, that it spun. But Chris, if you look at it, there's no way that thing can fucking spin on its own. It has the circle around the handle isn't connected. So I don't know. It's either that thing was motorized and we just didn't notice it was motorized, or you're telling me Thanos spun that fucking thing so fast.
I didn't realize it was spinning. I just thought he deflected it like off to the side.
It's spinning like a circle. It's spinning around like making a deflection shield or whatever. And I was really curious of how. I guess he was spinning it that fast, or I don't know. Anyway, doesn't fucking matter. Cool shit still happens. Thor fucking throws Mjolnir up and then bats it at him with oh, by the way, I forgot about this. Should have mentioned this earlier when it happened. Right when Thor was leaving the past, Rocket was like 3, 2, 1. He goes, wait! And he holds his hand out and he catches Mjolnir. So now in the future, God Thor with the braids and everything, now has Stormbreaker, the axe, and Mjolnir, the hammer. So he dual wields this fight. Okay, pretty cool.
Yeah.
Throws the hammer up, bats it with Stormbreaker. Let me see how. So Cap shows up, fights a little bit. Thor shows up, fights a little bit, gets handled. There was a point where I just like the look on Thor's face when he's getting fucking smacked in the face and he holds his hand out and brings Stormbringer to him. But Thanos catches it, and I fucked this up in the theater the first time, Chris. I didn't realize what had happened, but I was like, oh, how the fuck did he catch that? He can't catch that. But if you remember, Stormbreaker doesn't have the same properties as Mjolnir. Right. Mjolnir is the essence of Thor, the lightning god, is in that. Stormbreaker was just I guess he wills that to himself with lightning. That's how that happens. So yeah, Thanos catches Stormbreaker, tries to jam it into his chest, and oh Chris, here we go.
Oh yeah, this is my favorite scenes of the movie.
This is hands down, and I have tried my best through all these movies that I've seen in theater to be quiet. I always try to be quiet in these movies, and I'm not putting myself on a pedestal. I'm not fucking making myself out to be some pristine movie guy over other people. If you're excited, be excited. I would just prefer people not fucking talk through the entire movie. You know, there's a limit.
Right.
Thor's down. He's got the fucking axe burying into his chest, and he's like, oh, fuck. And he looks over and sees Mjolnir start to rise. And for a half second, Chris, I went, wait, Vision? No. It can't be Vision. Vision died before the snap. He can't come back. No way. And fucking Mjolnir flies across the screen and boom, lands in Captain America's hand. And I went, yes! In the theater, just like that. I was the only one that made a sound. And I was like, oh, I'm sorry. And then, like, people just started clapping, going, yeah, woo! I was like, oh, thank God, yes. Such a good scene. Thor looks at him, smiles, and goes, I knew it. Great callback, because he was the only one who saw that hammer move, so of course he knew it. Oh, man. So now Captain America has fucking Mjolnir and wields this shit like a boss.
Oh, yeah.
Fucking runs at Thanos, swinging that shit in the air, does a fucking flying uppercut with it, throws it at him, throws his shield up in the air, bounces Mjolnir off the shield, makes the fucking boing effect. Oh man, fucking kicks him and hits him and just uses the fucking hammer on him, calls lightning onto him, fucking throws the shield at him, and then the shield bounces off Thanos, uses the hammer to bat it back at him for a double hit, draws fucking lightning from the ground in like a ground wave, and when he's on the ground, he fucking calls lightning from the heavens and pours it onto him. Wow. That right there was what this movie was worth. That was the moment for me. Now, Chris, if you remember, I asked an episode or two ago, or probably 5 separate episodes ago, I wonder how they're going to make the moment where, how are they going to top the Thanos moment, where Thanos in Infinity War reaches his hand behind his head, cracks the fucking planet, and pulls parts down onto the planet. I will admit now, I did not get this. This was Captain America's equivalent to that moment from Infinity War.
Oh yeah,
Thanos did so. Let me get this straight so I don't sound like an asshole. I don't feel that Thanos himself got a more powerful moment. I think there was a good moment for him that came up, that's going to come up in a bit, but there wasn't that more powerful moment. You know, right. Thanos didn't fucking crack the planet in half or anything like I said he could possibly do. Thanos didn't have his moment. But equally, on the other playing field, on the good playing field, Captain America got his oh fuck wow moment. And that was him reaching the hand out and picking up Mjolnir. Yeah. Hands down, for me, the moment of this movie. And all the stuff that followed, too. I mean, him and Cap had a really good scuffle for a good minute or so. You know, Thanos picks up his fucking blade. His helmet's cracked in half. He fucking throws the helmet off. He picks up the blade thing and just starts bashing the fucking shield. Breaks the shield into pieces.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, Cap's getting handled. He's getting bodied. And it's great. It's not great that Captain America's getting beaten, but it's right. Great because it shows when he starts to get up. But before, Chris, if you I love this. It's so good, man. If you didn't have enough character development for Thanos by now, something is wrong with you. But if you needed more, he gives you even more. This is also where I think it goes into the villain territory. Cap's on the ground, beaten, fucking shields destroyed. He goes, you know, of all the things that I ever did in my existence, and all these killing half of this and killing half of that, there was never out of judgment. There was nothing personal. I just fucking did it and tried to be as balanced as I could. But the shit I'm about to do to planet Earth, the shit I'm about to pull here, I'm going to enjoy very, very much. And again, villain. He ain't got to do shit to Earth. Who the fuck cares? He's going to win in the end. But he said he's going to make a personal vendetta to pull some suffering to Earth. Villain. It's okay, Thanos. You've earned that villain. I give it to you. I'm happy. Cap does the Goku thing. He does the Invictus thing. He's broken. He's beaten. He gets the fuck up. And another scene, which Chris, people are just losing their mind over this scene. Another wallpaper moment where it shows a super wide scene, shows Captain America on one side and the entire fucking army on the other side. What a great wallpaper. What a great fucking scene. And you're like, all right, everybody else apparently is down and out. Cap's standing up. Cap's gonna fucking do this on his own. His radio starts crackling. Steve? Cap? He's like, what? And they go, on your left. Oh, another great callback. What another great fucking callback. And what's on his left? All the fucking portals. Say, Chris, do you remember back in Infinity War when Wong was teleporting away and he was like, what are you going to do? He says, I'm going to make a phone call. What are you going to do? I'm going to go gather some friends. He's going to get the fucking war together. Snap happened, unsnap. He went and got everybody together. He brought them here to the war scene. Payoff, payback. Everybody shows up. I think it was Black Panther that shows up first.
Yeah.
But who shows up first doesn't matter. Everybody shows up. Doctor Strange shows up. Spider-Man comes back. The fucking Wakandan army. Adam wanted me to remind both of us that, the fucking Wakandan Air Force shows up. The Air Force that should have been there last movie. But, man, I need to get his name down, Chris. The character with the wings. Have been brain farting all day, and I need to remember his name.
Sam Wilson.
Sam.
Hawk?
Yes. Sam.
Yeah. I think they just call him Hawk.
Maybe. I think that's.
I don't think they do in the movie, but I think comic-wise, he's known as Hawk.
We'll call him Sam. We'll just call him Sam. I just need, as you know, it's important that we get his name down for sure. But Sam shows up. The Wakandan army shows up. Fucking Valkyrie's there on a fucking Pegasus. The aliens from Guardians of the Galaxy that we saw playing Fortnite, they're back. Fucking Scarlet Witch, she's back, and you're like, oh. That payoff
I'm sure we'll
is
talk
about
about
to
in a
be
minute.
real good.
But when she gets involved, that was awesome.
Oh, dude. Yep. Fucking Wasp is there, like a surprise for a lot of people, for me as well. Pepper Potts is there in her own armor outfit because in the comics she was rescued, but she's there.
And there was a reference earlier in the movie when he's talking to his daughter. She is playing with one of the helmets he made for Potts.
Yep.
So they established early in the movie that she has suits that, of course, she's not wearing because that's not her thing. Yep. But here she is.
Fucking Ant-Man shows up as Giant Man. He's got fucking Rocket with him, and Hulk, and War Machine's there, and fucking Steve Strange looks over at Wong and says, is that everybody? And he goes, you wanted more? It's like, fucking everybody's here, dude. And finally, Chris, after all these movies and all the few hints where they almost did it, finally, Steve goes, Avengers, assemble. And they, the fucking army charges forward, and here you go. Here's more of what you waited for. The big-ass fucking army scene, or the big battle scene. I'm going to stop before this gets even better, and I'm finally going to lay out my final critique with the Hulk, and I'm going to explain it as succinctly as I can.
Okay.
Chris, you remember back in Infinity War, as we all do, that movie literally kicked off right at the beginning. People are already dead on that ship. Thanos has already shown up. He's handled business, and then blah, back and forth, yada, yada, give me the stone, don't have it, blah, 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 back and forth. We have this. Well, we have the Hulk. Hulk shows up, and yay, fucking Hulk's going to come in here and beat the fuck out of Thanos. Gets a few licks in, bada bing, bada boom, but no, it doesn't work. Because not only does Thanos have the power gem, Thanos is not a fucking pussy. Thanos is a titan. He is a battle-worn fighter. He knows how to fight. He's not he sits on the throne because he doesn't fucking have to fight. But if he has to, he will fuck you up. He fucked the Hulk up. He fucked Bruce up bad. He technically beat his ass. He was punching him in weak points and dropping face to the knee and just counter hit, picks him up and slams him on the ground. Bitch, you're nothing to me. I didn't just like wave my finger with a power stone and smack you across the galaxy. I put my dukes up and beat the shit out of you. Fast forward through Endgame, we get to see Bruce as Professor, or Hulk as Professor Hulk. Okay, cool, I'm down with that. We get all the way through the battle. We see him charging in through the battle. We don't get to see what he does. And the next time that we see him, Chris, is when the fucking lasers are firing down on the planet, and you see him cowering like, oh, like everybody else is. He's no different. Everybody else is like, oh shit, we're gonna die. My point being is that through this entire movie, what I wanted, one of the small nitpicky, but ultimately one of the reasons that added it to this movie getting a 4.5 instead of a 5 for me, one was Thor. I didn't really like the totality of how Thor was treated, but I was very, very disappointed that I did not get a 1 to 3 minute scene where Hulk fucking lands, roar, and Thanos is like, oh, fucking bring it on. We'll do this shit again. I remember I watched the video where I kicked your ass. I'm about to do it again. And they fucking fight. I needed to see that. I needed to see Hulk go in there and get his fucking retribution. I needed to see Hulk go in there and show him, whoa, 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 motherfucker. The more angrier that I get, the more powerful I am. And yeah, you're a titan. Yeah, you're a proud, powerful fighter. But the more you keep punching me, I'm going to fucking rage out and get more powerful. And I'm going to at least beat you down if I don't kill you. Didn't get it.
They missed a very good opportunity there with what happened to Nat. You know, how close they were. That was a very just set up trigger for him to, you know, Hulk out, so to speak, and, you know, go from being Professor Hulk to, all right, maybe he's not, you know, fully melded. It's time for the full Hulk to come out and show him what they can do.
Yep. And again, I mean, I know the movie was long enough. Chris, would you have sat through a 3.5 hour movie? Would you have?
Yeah.
Do you think if there was 30 more minutes? Well, guess what, audience? I'm not even asking for 30 more minutes. Give me 3. Give me 2.5. Fuck it. But I needed to see on this battlefield, in this battle, I needed to see the moment, just like someone else got, I needed to see that moment where the payback for Hulk getting his ass handed to him. I needed to see Thanos just beating the shit out of Hulk, and Hulk being like, I'm getting angrier. I'm getting more angry. Okay, remember the scene, Chris, in Batman vs. Superman? I know that movie is like a blight. I know. But remember the scene? Did you see this movie, by the way? Did you see Batman vs. Superman? Okay, well, just spoiler, I guess. There's a lot more to it, I guess. But there's a scene, basically Bruce Wayne creates a kryptonite gas, okay, and throws it on Superman. Superman gets weak, obviously. So there's a scene where Batman has Superman post gas, and he's punching Superman in the face. Superman's weak. Batman has armor. These punches are hurting him, but the gas starts to wear off. So it's like, oh shit, you're not hurting me at all. I wanted to see that equivalent in this fight. I wanted to see Thanos like pulverizing the Hulk, and the more he was pulverizing, Hulk was getting just more angry, and the angrier he got, the less the punches hurt, and the faster he got, and the more technical he got. I need to see him pick Thanos up and slam him into the ground, and whether he killed him or not, at least be like, you know, puny Thanos or something. I don't know. I needed to see that payback. Didn't see it at all. So that was a big letdown for me. So anyway, the battle's going. So now let's get back to the positives. Roll back into the positives. Battle's going on. Battle's moving forward. There's a cool scene where Iron Man and Pepper Potts are in the air. They get a little tag team duo. Awesome. Captain America and Thor fighting side by side. Cap has the Stormbreaker and Thor has Mjolnir again.
Yeah.
I do remember seeing Thor in this scene, though it's leathered up, he still has his gut. I was like, I'm still pissed off at that. Fuck that. But anyway, Thor says, no, you give me the big one, you take the little one. So they swap them, and I thought that was pretty funny. Fucking just everybody's getting a moment. fucking Rocket Raccoon and Winter Soldier again are fighting side by side, just fucking shooting shit, having a good time. Spider-Man shows up and he's like, Mr. Stark, this happened and that happened and blah, 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 blah. I'm so happy, blah, blah, blah. And then he just goes in to hug him. Doesn't say a word, just hugs him. And that look on his face of he's just so happy to have Peter back around. Awesome, heartfelt moment. You see Star-Lord show up and he sees Gamora. Now, he doesn't know. He thinks maybe that's the old Gamora or the Gamora that died. He doesn't know that that's Gamora from the past, who has not fallen in love with him yet. So he goes to like rub her face and she kicks him in the nuts twice. And he says, you missed the first one, but you got them both for the second. Yeah. And I love Nebula walks up and she's like, Gamora's like, so this is the guy? And she's like, trust me, it was either him or a tree. So
yeah.
So yeah. Yeah. So they're fighting. I mean, it's the big battle, man. Everybody's fighting. Yeah. Everything's happening. They're starting to realize that they need to try to get to the van to they were trying to get to the van to go back in time. I forget why they were trying to find the van.
That was I don't remember.
Yeah, they were trying to get to the quantum realm again for something. I figure by the third watch I would have had that. This is happening in the middle of the battle, so I'm sorry, my details are foggy. But so yeah, the battle's raging on, and Tony sees Doctor Strange and he goes, you said 1 in 14 million or whatever. Is this the one? And he says, if I tell you, it's not going to happen. He's like, all right, cool. So they keep fighting. Everybody's in on the action. And then boom, fucking Scarlet Witch shows up.
Oh man.
And oh man, the look. I just love her in this. I love her in this movie. I mean, she looks at him with these fucking fire red eyes, like literally fucking bright red eyes. And she goes, you took everything from me. And he goes, I don't even know who the fuck you are. And she's like, but you will. And she just starts fucking handling his ass. And I love it. It played out better in my head, but I still love the way they did it. She picks, I mean, she's throwing fucking bombs at him and knocking him down and deflecting all his attacks like nothing. And she picks him up into the air. And she uses one hand to pick him up and uses her other hand to make these like little flicking motions in the air. She starts picking off his armor piece by piece.
Yeah.
And I have to make this distinction. While this is happening, there's also another fight going on between what is his name? Maw. Remember Maw, of the 4 bad guys, the one that could just like wave his hand and move shit around? I fucking love that guy. I've always loved that villain. And I think he was fighting against Black Panther. And he's trying to catch the glove because Black Panther has a glove, and he's moving the earth around and everything. I looked at my wife and I was like, yes, because I thought they were going to have like a real big battle scene, but it was enough. He moved the earth around and squeezed him in and everything. Well, she fucking throws Thanos up in the air, and she's crushing him and pulling off his armor, and he goes, rain fire! And you see the one guy go, but our troops, he's like, fuck it, shoot it! And the big fucking mothership starts raining down fucking lasers, just like it was whenever they blew up the mansion. Wong and all the magicians, they throw up big shields and protect everybody. Fucking Spider-Man's not going crazy, but he's got the instant kill mode on at this point, so he's killing off everything. Everybody's getting blasted. Everybody's ducking and covering, even Spider-Man. And the lasers stop shooting in the ground and start shooting up in the air. And everybody's confused. Even Tony's like, what the fuck's going on? And they go, we don't know. There's something just broke in the atmosphere. And I was like, somebody's coming. And I know, Chris, this is so, I don't know why. Apparently I really wanted Vision to come back. But I was like, is that Vision? Did he come back? No, of course it wasn't Vision. It was Captain Marvel. Yay. Captain Marvel shows up and completely fucking wrecks Thanos' ship. Like, flies through the ship 2 or 3 times and just utterly destroys it. So she lands next to Spider-Man, who at this point he has basically they're trying to a lot of the heroes are football running the Infinity Gauntlet or the Iron Man Infinity Gauntlet and the gems across the battlefield. It went from one person to the other. At this point, Spider-Man has it. Oh fuck, Chris, I'm sorry. Very important how we tell how he's got it. He's got it, and Cap throws Mjolnir in the air, and Spider-Man thwips and grabs Mjolnir, and he goes flying through the air with it. I thought that was really cool. Really cool. So Captain Marvel shows up, and he's like, hey, I'm Peter Parker. She's like, hey, Peter, you got something for me? She's like, hey, yeah, here, but... And he goes to hand her the glove, and he looks around and sees the army approaching. He's like, I don't know how you're going to get through all that. And the girls all show up and go, don't worry, she's got help. And it's all the female cast here. We'll leave it at this, Chris. A little bit on the nose. You know, a little bit on the nose with this scene. Like, all the females were right here, right now, to do a Marvel pose off. But I tell you this, I can see a little 12, 13, 14-year-old girl seeing this scene right here and just losing their mind. So, for what it was, I didn't mind. Okay.
I get it. Yeah. Like you, I don't mind. Exactly. That's the thing. Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Not necessary. I get it, though.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Not necessary, but okay. Sure. Whatever. And it didn't last for like 4 fucking minutes either. They had they all did cool shit whenever they went into the battle again and split up and did their own thing. So, okay. Sure. Worked for me. No big deal.
Yeah.
So they're all fighting and they're still trying to get the thing. They're trying to get the glove. It seems like they're trying to get the glove to the quantum thing. I don't know why. Maybe on my 4th watch, I'll really figure that out. But Thanos throws his lance thing into the portal and blows that up. So that's not going to happen. The glove falls on the ground. Cap and Thor goes after Thanos. Thanos is going for the glove. They go back and forth. Cap gets in on it, and they all try to get the glove. And he gets the glove. And I ain't gonna lie, Chris, I was already on the edge of my seat for this whole battle, but I inched another foot forward when he picked that fucking glove up. I was like, no. He has the glove again. This is like the 3rd time in this movie where I was like, this is how it all gets fucked up again. Or, oh no, what's going to happen? Instead of, well, duh, he's not going to win. I was legitimately like, oh fuck, oh no. He goes to snap, and the instant he about snaps his fingers, Captain Marvel shows back up, grabs his hand, and keeps his fingers apart, trying to not let it open up. Pretty cool part where Thanos goes to headbutt her, and there's like a dunk. It was like an audible dud of a sound. Instead of like energy, it was like a dunk. It's like she didn't move at all, didn't phase her at all. Yo, we get it, Marvel. Obviously, she is ultra powerful. You shouldn't have super ultra powerful people in the field because all they're going to do is wave their finger and fix the day. And Marvel said, we know that, Michael, and this is how we're going to fix that. Thanos reaches into the glove, pulls the power gem out, punches Captain Marvel into space, and you don't see her until the end of the movie.
Right.
Wow. That was cool. That was a way for her to... She came into this movie with her cocky attitude and her ultra powerfulness, and they went, okay, we need more story, though. Get her out of the movie. And they did it. So, cool. He puts the glove back on, and then Iron Man shows up. But right before he does, he looks over at Stephen Strange, and Stephen holds up his hand with the one finger up, obviously signaling to Tony, this is the moment. This is that one. So he's got the glove. Thanos has the glove on. He's about to go snap. Tony, thank you. I'm losing it. I'm too excited. Tony flies in, goes to grab the glove. Fucking Thanos bats him away, and he pulls his hand up, and again he says the line, "I am inevitable," and snaps his fingers, but it's a clink. I love that sound effect. That is what that glove would sound like if it snapped. It wouldn't be a fucking white hot phosphorus grenade going off. It was a clink. He's like, "What?" Flips the glove over. No stones there. Looks over at Tony. Tony has the gloves in his suit. Or Tony has all the gems, the stones in his suit. And Thanos is like, "What?" Because at this point, he had said, "I am inevitable." And he looks over at Tony, and Tony says, "Well, I am Iron Man." And he snaps his finger. Mm-hmm. All the army dies. Thanos disappears, and I love the quiet way that he disappeared. Yeah. You know, he fucking looked around the battlefield, saw what happened, kind of stumbles back a little bit, sits down, puts his fucking his elbows on his knees, and just that look of, and he just starts to fade away. And as he's fading away, his fucking head goes down, and like shame, defeat, all the above, just vanishes away. Mm-hmm. A human cannot hold even one stone. Even with his Iron Man suit, a human cannot contain that power. It will kill a person. And it did effectively kill Tony Stark. He's dying at this point. The fucking look of death on his face, man. That whole scene. He's trying to talk, and he's just barely kind of mouthing / breathing some words out. You don't really know what he's saying. Fucking Peter Parker shows up. He's like, "We did it, sir. We won. We did it." And I mean, the whole fucking theater's tearing up at this point. Pepper kind of gently pushes him out of the way, and she's talking to him. She's like, "Look at me. You know, we're done it. We're safe. We're okay. You don't have to worry about us." Double entendre, not only talking about the world as a whole, but talking about her and his daughter as well. Yeah. And he passes away.
I really liked in that scene how calm Pepper was.
Yeah. Yeah.
There wasn't any, crying. There was no panic. There was no, emotional overload on her part. She just calmly, like you said, she calmly moved Peter to the side and spoke to him, and that was it.
Yeah. Yeah. And equally, I liked how Tony... There wasn't a grand speech, There was after, when they were listening to the recording that he made, but then, he wasn't like coughing up some blood and making some exaggerated dramatic speech / breathing. It was just as morbid as that sounds to say, he genuinely looked like a person that was dying, and it was a fucking deep moment.
Yeah.
So yeah, Tony passes away. Immediately cuts to a funeral, and much like everybody was at the battle, everybody was at the funeral. I mean, full stop. Everybody was there. As this scene's kind of playing, and right before it, Tony had made a little recording talking about, what we're about to do tomorrow with all this. I don't know if it's going to work, but we're going to have a chance, and I'm kind of nervous, but yada, yada, yada. What am I saying? It's going to work. Peace out. I love you. I love you 3000, and recording stops. They play that at the funeral. Long sweeping camera moment, up the hill where everybody is there at the funeral. They're all somber and dressed in black. Even fucking Nick Fury at the very end. That was another touching thing right there.
Yeah, apparently, and I didn't know this until I was going back and, looking up some stuff about the movie, but even the kid from the other Iron Man movie was in it. The one that he had, crashed at his garage or whatever it was for a bit.
My father's dead too, but I'm not a pussy about it. Yeah, that kid.
Yeah.
That threw, again, with all the reviews that I watched, that threw a lot of people off. There were so many people like, well, who was that kid? And I was the same way. It took me listening to somebody else say it to go, oh yeah, because honestly, I've only seen Iron Man 3 once.
Yeah, same.
Excuse me. I honestly forgot about the kid. But yeah, you name a person that was alive at this point in this movie, and everybody that was close to them was there. Really good funeral scene. It shows Scarlet Witch and Clint. They're both talking about, we miss them and, wish we could tell them that they did it and that they know. And it's like, yeah, they know. The fucking cheeseburger scene, dude. With Happy asking Tony's daughter, like, how you doing? Doing good? Were you hungry? Yeah, I'm hungry. What do you want? Cheeseburgers? And it was that was my moment. That was the one where I kind of let some water go a little bit. So Thor's talking to Valkyrie, and he's like, she was like, when you coming home? We need a king. And he's like, no, we already got a king, and basically gives her the kingdom of Asgard, so she's going to be the new Odin, basically. While he jumps on the ship with Star-Lord, and he said the Asgardians of the galaxy, so he says. Yep. They have a funny little back and forth about who's in charge and yada yada yada. It was pretty funny. Now the really good part. Now the creme de la creme. And Chris, I will confirm this after having watched it 3 times, but let's get into it. So it's the point where they're gonna put the stones back. If you remember, they said earlier, "Hey, we're basically gonna borrow the stones and put them back where we stole them from, and everything's gonna be fine." So Cap is the one that says he's gonna do it. He's got all the stones. He's got Mjolnir. I guess he was going to put that back in its right place too. And they're like, look, we're going to send you back in time. And Sam asks, how long is this going to be? And they're like, for him, as long as it takes. But for us, it's going to be like 5 seconds. So they have a plan in place. Cap's going to go here, put the stone back, there, put the stone back, yada, 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 yada. He's going to be back here. No problem. They teleport him off. Boom, it disappears. 5 seconds goes by. They go to teleport him back. He's not there. They're like, what the fuck? They look over to the side, and there's some guy sitting on a bench. They're like, what? And Bucky and Sam is there as well. And Bucky looks at Sam and is like, go on. So he goes over and talks to him. And man, I just want to say, first off, the makeup artist that did aged Steve Rogers, fucking phenomenal job. The first impression that immediately came to mind was Clint Eastwood. But flat out, he looked fucking great. He looked like he was supposed to, like, somebody that has aged 60, 70 something years. So, yeah, there's an old aged Steve Rogers there. And Sam's like, well, did something go really wrong or really right? He's like, yeah, after I put the stones back, I figured I'd go do that thing that Nat was talking about and got a life for myself, or us Tony was talking about, got a life for myself. And he's like, did you enjoy it? And he goes, yeah, it was beautiful. He's like, I'm really happy for you. I truly am. He's like, what's really bumming me out though is that we're not going to have a Captain America. And he's like, oh yeah, about that. And he pulls the Captain America shield off that he had draped in this bag, and he pulls it open and he goes, try it on. He's the fucking look on his face is like, what? He puts it on, and Steve asks him, he goes, how does it feel? He goes, it feels like it's somebody else's. He goes, well, it shouldn't. It's yours. And Sam nods, and he goes, thank you. I'll do you proud, or something like that. And he goes to shake his hand, and Steve shakes his hand with one and puts his other hand over it, and he's got a wedding ring on. That was the second time that a little bit of waterworks came out. And he goes, you want to tell me about her? And he goes, no, I won't. It's just a little moment. This is a life that Steve wanted, Steve deserved, arguably, and he got it, and he's just keeping it to himself. And the final scene of the movie shows him back in the past, dancing with Peggy Hill, or Peggy Carter. Jesus, Hank Hill? What? Oh my God! Yeah, it shows him dancing with Peggy Carter, and it goes straight to credits with that same music playing in the end.
Yeah.
And man, what a fucking wrap up. And I say that for the entire movie. What a wrap up.
And
go ahead.
So something I found really interesting, after a Marvel movie ends, you don't leave the theater. So everybody's still sitting down. There's like a couple people who stand up, but they don't even leave. They're just, stretching their legs, and everybody's waiting for that mid-credit scene.
Yep.
Nothing happens. Okay, we'll wait for the end credit scene, and all we get's a noise.
Yep. 3 clang, clang, clangs, which were the exact same sound effect that you heard in Iron Man, the movie, the original Iron Man. That was either a tribute to Iron Man creating his Iron Man suit Mark 1, or that was a, taste of things to come. Who knows? It seems like the directors and writers have said, no, this entire arc wraps up all the way from the beginning of Iron Man 1 to the post credits of Endgame. It's all one story. There's no hints, no illusions. So we'll see. The interesting thing that I wanted to bring up, Chris, I don't know if you saw it or if you even care, but so they send Cap back in time. Mm-hmm. Right when he goes to leave, there's another super great callback where Cap looks to Bucky and says, "Don't do anything stupid while I'm gone." He says, "How can you're taking all the stupid with you?" That's directly from Captain America 1. Great callback, great tribute. But he keeps hinting. There's a lot of body language to this, a lot of words being used, but he's like, I'm going to miss you. And Hulk's like, what do you do? He's going to be back in 5 seconds. Chill out. So he leaves and he comes back, and the body language, the look. So everybody's freaking out when Captain America doesn't show back up, except for Bucky. Bucky's just like, meh. And then when he shows back up, he tells Sam, "No, man, you go ahead." Mm-hmm. The way that he says that, this is a big theory going around. I wasn't the proprietor of this theory, but now that I've seen the footage again repeatedly, I can agree with it. The theory is that Cap talked to Bucky about this beforehand. So Bucky knew that he was going to go back and he was going to live out his life. And he had probably agreed with him that, look, I'm going to give the shield to Sam. That all that was predestined. They already worked it all out. If that's the case, that's pretty cool. That's a way it makes sense for him to do that to his best friend. Hey, don't freak out when I don't come back. Why aren't you going to come back? Because I'm going to do this. Oh, man. Great movie. Great send-off. Even for Tony, even for his death, but a great send-off for Captain America. Man, you could pick apart some things in this movie. Like, okay, let's play some funny stuff here. So Cap went back in time to a time when he was basically frozen in ice. So he went to Peggy and said, "Hey, look, I'm here, but there's gonna be me that's out there frozen and can't tell anybody. So you're leaving yourself frozen forever. Nobody can ever know that I'm Captain America because Captain America in canon is frozen or dead. Actually, the world didn't even know he's frozen in ice. The world thought he was dead. So you have to keep me a secret forever. That means when world events come around, I can't just jump out there and be Captain America because Captain America doesn't exist anymore." There's all sorts of crazy little theory holes you can plug into this movie, but while I watched it,
there's also a whole thing about how they can't really affect the future type thing, and I don't think that one's as big of a deal. I didn't even read into that one too much, but there are people that think the time travel aspect itself technically shouldn't have allowed him to do what he did. I don't know.
Yeah. And again, Hulk did a pretty decent job of trying to explain it. Like, look, I understand that y'all have different theories about time travel because of this movie and that movie, and you think here's 10 ways that you think time travel works. Time travel does not work in any way like that, so move on. They did their due diligence and at least hand waved time travel theory out of the gate. So when you sit down in this movie and try to go, wait a minute, this plot line doesn't match up to that storyline, doesn't match up to that timeline, Hulk already told you, stop it. Just chill out. It's not going to work that way. In any event, this entire movie was great. I enjoyed it. Again, I still prefer Infinity War more. I had more fun with Infinity War. I feel the pacing of Infinity War was better. the big moments, Thanos showing up to Earth the first time and the fights, Cap catching the fucking lance, and the fucking the death of fucking, oh man, all the death. When Wanda was there trying to hold off Thanos, and Thanos individually gathered. Too many moments in Infinity War. But again, it's not like it's shit stomps Endgame. I just prefer Infinity War a little more than Endgame. Lots of payoffs, lots of tributes, lots of callbacks. This movie was definitely made for the people that have followed this all the way through. Oh yeah, it pays off, wraps everything up. I had a great time, man.
There was a lot of changing of the guard type things in this, to where you can see, whatever comes next, if it is part of the same timeline, it would make sense. There are things that are going to change. I'm pretty sure, at least some of the movies that are coming out may be part of the same timeline. I don't know when we're going to start seeing a divergence, or if they're just going to run with it,
Yeah. There are tons of theory crafting going on right now. Of course, there has to be, because, we all want to know how and when the X-Men are coming to be involved. But I'll tell you, even sticking to this universe, I mean, obviously, they're going to make Sam the new Captain America. Great, all about that. What I'd like to see, which doesn't seem like it's hinted at this, it seems like this Captain America is like, yep, I'm old, I'm retired, I'm passing the shield on, I'm done. But in the comics, there is an old Captain America, and I think old Captain America was Nick Fury for a while. So
he wasn't Nick Fury, but he led S.H.I.E.L.D., yes.
Okay. Well, how awesome would that be if, this Captain America led S.H.I.E.L.D., if he was basically the next Nick Fury, so to speak. I would be all... He's the guy that creates the new Avengers, Yeah. There's absolutely no links at all to the X-Men or anything like that. We already said that. We already brought that up. So I have no idea where we're going after this. I don't know if they're completely capping this off. I've heard tell here and there that there's more. There's another movie coming out. The next Spider-Man movie that's Tom Holland. That's the same Spider-Man in this universe. So there's rumors that maybe that starts the next arc / phase. There's rumors that no, this movie is actually not the end of this arc, that Spider-Man movie is, which is causing a lot of uproar, because they're like, no, Endgame is the obvious end. And they're like, well, no, it's not the end, because all the movies with all these characters are in this arc, and that Spider-Man is in this arc. So who knows? We won't know until we see this movie. It may take place after Endgame, before, who knows?
Yeah, and there's talks of, the next Guardians of the Galaxy, Thor in it, and now it's Guardians of the Galaxy, which is a comic, not with the same group of characters, but the title exists. So playing off that and that little throwback. Don't know. Just in
general, man, I was so distraught when I left the theater after this movie. Only because, okay, well, a little bit because I was pissed off about the Hulk thing, and a little bit because I didn't like the way Thor was done. But the big of it was what a movie should do. I was exhausted, and now I'd seen the movie, and that was it. Like, it wasn't just that Endgame was over. This whole entire series now is over until they have the next huge plot arc, whatever. And I was like, man, I enjoyed it while I was there for 3 hours, but now it's over, and now I'm just in the fucking wake of it. I don't know what else I want to watch. There's a Godzilla movie that comes out this year I want to see. Obviously, I want to see the Spider-Man movie and a few other movies here and there, but oh man, my big tentpole for the year is over.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my end of it, man. I've talked this entire time, man. I love the movie. I enjoyed it. Chris, do you have any parting thoughts before we wrap this night up?
This is, the end of an era, so to speak, and what's going to come after this? What can come that will compare to this behemoth, this legacy that's been established now,
Yeah.
Even within Marvel, what would they do to top this, Yeah.
Yeah, there's Comic Pop put a very short little 4 or 5 minute video out talking about what other Marvel characters or what other Marvel villains can they fall back to. Apocalypse, of course, was brought up. Doctor Doom was a strong, solid contender, and even Galactus. And it's what's going to be challenging. What I'm very interested in, man. We're talking a super long con, Chris. A super long time to figure out how it's going to work out. It's not just figuring out what villain they're going to do that will power-wise top not only Thanos but the Infinity Stones, but also how they're going to write a character that is as good / better than Thanos. Again, Thanos by himself was a Titan, already powerful. Thanos with the Infinity Stones, beyond powerful, has control over all 6 of those aspects. Now, not only one, but he was relatable. He was a character, a well-written villain character. Now, make a new character that is powerful by itself. More powerful, he gets the whatever MacGuffin, but also super fucking relatable. A well-written character. That's going to be their challenge. That's going to be anybody's challenge, if you're going to make another 22 movie arc, don't let us see him in the first movie. Don't let us see him in this first movie and then 10 minutes in the second movie. And he gets, you gotta, Thanos was trickle fed like crazy. So it's going to be very interesting on so many, and we're just talking about the villain. We're not only that, are the Avengers going to be a thing? Are the X-Men coming in? Are the X-Force and other Marvel properties coming in? Who knows? What do you think, audience? What direction do you see the Marvel Cinematic Universe going in? Are you happy the fact that it's Disney owns it all? It's all under one big roof. What theories do you have about what franchises are coming together? What series are coming together? How do you see the next, say, 20-something movies coming out? Do you think they're even going to do 20 movies again? Are they going to do 40? Are they going to do 10? Who knows? What do you think? How do you see... this arc took about 10 and a half, 11 years. What do you see coming in the next 11 years? What do you want to see coming in the next 11 years? What don't you want to see? Anything the MCU, especially right now, man, while it's fresh on your brain, we would love to hear your thoughts about all the MCU as a whole, not just Endgame. And there are many ways you can talk to us. You can find us on Facebook. You can go to Facebook and search for End of Timecast, and it should be where you find our page. You can find our episodes there. You can post on our wall, send us a message, and maybe find how you found this episode right here. We have an email address. You can email us at endoftimecast@gmail.com. That's endoftimecast@gmail.com. No funny numbers in there. Just spell it as you heard it. We have a Twitter page. You can tweet us, retweet us. You can find us on YouTube. You can find us on all sorts of other podcast hosting places. And on those sites, you can comment. There's plenty of ways to get a hold of us, man. And if you want to talk to us about the MCU, about video games, anything in general, we'd love to hear from you. It's a good way to get your stuff read out loud and discussed right here on the show. And in general, it's just great to have some discourse and talk to people about things that we are super passionate about. Because I guarantee you, sticking with a series for a decade and having it pay off, we're definitely dedicated. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's going to do it for tonight's very long episode. Thanks for listening in. Thanks for sticking with us. And until next time, I'm Michael.
And I'm Chris.
Good night, everybody.